What's going on, fellow A-Plussers? It's your boy, Adam Perez. Welcome to a brand new live episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your movie, television, DC, and Marvel news, streaming live for you guys here today. We got 6 incredible topics we're going to be diving into for you guys today. Some honorable mentions, your live viewer questions at the end of the show. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Good morning, good afternoon, one and all, wherever you're certainly watching us live from here today. It is A-Plus Hero Report, your live weekly stop for your Marvel, DC television, and movie news, as we're streaming live for you guys on several different platforms today. So wherever you're watching us at, feel free to lock in, hit that like button, subscribe to the channels, retweet these videos, let people know that we are in fact live. It is I, your host, Adam Perez. We're back once again with my co-host, none other than Mr. Stuart Bradscombe himself, coming back, a married man. Since you guys have last seen him on A-Plus Hero Report, it is good to see everybody back. How's it going, buddy? How you doing, man? How's married life treating you so far?
Married life is great. Everything is going absolutely excellent at the moment. It's funny, and I think I mentioned this on our movie podcast last week or last Monday. Something that my wife and I both kind of knew going into this is that, like, after the wedding, we didn't really think much was going to change between us, and so far, kind of correct, because we've already been living together for a while. So, it is kind of funny. It feels good to be married, but it's kind of funny how, like, in the grand scheme of things, most things are just kind of the same between us.
I was going to say, I wonder how much has changed with married life, where, like, now that the honeymoon is over and you guys are back home, it's just like back to normal, but, a nice twinkle in each other's eye of knowing that you're married finally,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's cool. So you heard it here first, ladies. He's off the market. Stuart is a married man now. So yeah, fantastic to have you back as always, buddy. We didn't get the opportunity to do the show last week. We were supposed to get together last week, but I was not feeling under. I was definitely feeling under the weather for sure. So decided not to have last week's episode. So we apologize a little bit about the hiatus here, but we should be smooth sailing for quite some time, unless something else kind of comes up here, guys. So you guys will certainly have us here every Sunday. Tomorrow or next weekend, we should be back to the regular noon schedule, at least for you guys. I just needed the 11 a.m. schedule here today in Texas because the girlfriend's going to be rather busy later on today, and I wanted to make sure that we wrap up before she leaves, and I gotta watch kiddo. So but yeah, so next week we should be back to our regular scheduled noon Central Time, so definitely look out for that. But what else has been going on here this week, man? We had a big movie wind up dropping, The Mandalorian and Grogu. If you guys have had the opportunity to check out the brand new Star Wars movie in theaters, let us know your thoughts about it in the comments or the live chat below. We will be having a special episode of The Force Report tomorrow night live at 7 p.m. Central Time, where we're getting the High Council together, and we're going to be talking about The Mandalorian and Grogu tomorrow. So I'm super, super excited. But yeah, man, you had the opportunity to check out the movie yourself, right, Stuart?
I did, yeah.
You said you had fun time with it?
Yeah, I thought it was a real good time. I think that I'll definitely talk a lot more about it on Monday, but I think maybe the writing wasn't as great as something as I was hoping for a Mandalorian movie on the big screen. But I think that in terms of its production, in terms of the way it was filmed, which you'll be seeing me praise a lot of the filmmaking techniques they used on Monday, that is why you see this movie on the big screen, is for that. And also some of the sound design was great. I also really love, I'm sure you know exactly which song I'm talking about, that 80s synth music that they added to it. I freaking love that sound, that score.
Yeah, the score for The Mandalorian is ridiculous. Like it's so incredibly good. Ludwig, whatever his last name is, he literally just fresh off of I think winning an Oscar for, I think, was it Sinners that he just worked on also?
No way. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay,
Yeah,
so
he
it's the
just
same
worked
guy that
on
did Sinners.
He did work. He did Sinners. He also, I mean, he's also the regular traditional Mandalorian sound guy anyway, for composer. But yeah, he just did Sinners, and I think he just did another movie like 2 years ago, where he won another Oscar. I think he's like a back-to-back Oscar winner or something like that. So I can definitely feel his presence in this movie for sure. But we'll definitely talk a lot more about it tomorrow for you guys. But look, remember, as we go through these topics today, these are simply our A+ opinions and our own thoughts, but we always want to know your guys' thoughts. So the live chat is open. Feel free to go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the live chat as we go through these topics. We love conversing with you guys and hearing your opinions on certain things. And we'll definitely bounce some ideas off of you. And just to show you how much we appreciate live comments, let's go ahead and dive into them right now, real quick. We got Ricky Perez in the house. Saw the first trailer for Illumination's Minions 3, Minions and Monsters last week. Yeah, I actually saw it on the big screen yesterday when we went to go see The Mandalorian and Grogu. It looks pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. I've never watched a single Minions movie in my life, but it looks pretty funny.
I will say, like, the first Minions movie, it was, as a movie, exactly what you would expect. You know, kids will love it, but you know, for the most part, it's just kind of okay. But there was that one joke in it that just made me laugh so freaking hard, just because of like how like almost out of left field it was, where you just have like this suburban family, like, you know, driving the Minions to this villain convention, and they almost seem out of place. Like, why is this family of this nuclear family heading to a villain convention? And then they like stop by a gas station, and you get the dad going like, all right, kids, how about we stretch our legs? And he pulls out a Glock. And like, you just see all the families like putting on ski masks. And it was so out of left field, it had me busting a gut.
That's funny. That's pretty funny. Ricky Perez also says, saw a Super Mario Galaxy movie on digital last week. Also, it'll be arriving on Blu-ray June 26th, so next month. Wow, it's a quick turnaround, I think. Yeah. New animated series Dragon Striker. It'll be premiering on Disney XD and Disney Plus this June. You know, it's a new show that just came out, Stuart, that I want to go ahead and try and watch this week. The Burrows on Netflix. I believe it comes from the Duffer Brothers. I don't know if they're the writers on it or if they came up with like the main story and they're just producing it. But I've been hearing good things about it, so that might be one of the next things I dive into is the Burrows. There's a lot of things that are sneaking up on me towards the end of May, beginning of June. A lot of big projects I'm kind of looking forward to. Also saw the final trailer for Masters of the Universe, including a look back at the classic series 40 years ago. Yeah, they just released their final trailer for Masters of the Universe. I actually saw it Thursday night on the big screen in Dolby when I saw Mandalorian and Grogu. It looks great on the big screen, man. I cannot wait for this movie.
I can't either. So I told you I was watching the show for the first time, right? The original, like, classic. There is one line of dialogue that I have no idea how this made it in, how like one of the producers didn't go, no. But it's like where you have He-Man's cousin visiting, and she goes to Adam. She's like, oh my gosh, Adam, look at how much you've grown. Oh, if you weren't my cousin. I'm just like, what? What? Hey, yo.
Wait a minute, dog. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
This is a kid show, damn it.
Wow, I need to catch that episode again. You know, it's funny because I did try and start a rewatch. I literally got to like episode 2 and then I got distracted. But you know, what I discovered in episode 2 that I forgot as a kid, because I watched this was like when I was like 5, 6 years old. You know, it's been a minute since I've actually did a rewatch of this show. But you know, He-Man's mother is from Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I had not known that she was a space explorer herself and wind up getting sort of trapped in space and brought into Eternia sort of thing. So she has knowledge of Earth. So like, you know, the people complain. I heard some people had complaints about the Masters of the Universe movie, like this one, like taking place on Earth sort of thing, right? And wishing that was maybe like on Eternia a little bit more sort of thing. And it just made me realize, especially when watching the trailer and finding out that it's Adam's parents that sent him to Earth. You know, it's like, of all places, like, why would they send him to Earth? And it makes sense from like a canonical point of view for Masters of the Universe that they sent him there because that's where his mother's from. That's probably the most likely reason. So I just thought that was really cool. I just realized that as I was doing my rewatch. That was kind of neat.
Yeah, she was probably like, I know a backwater planet that Lord Hordak would never even think to look.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so it's where I grew up.
What else we got here? Official trailer for Avatar: Last Airbender. Yeah, we'll definitely talk a little bit about that.
Mhm.
It's confirmed that Marvel Television upcoming Vision Quest series will be premiering a Disney Plus in 2026. Yep, I'm excited for that one also. Tubi greenlights Yokoso Scooby Doo, an anime adventure from WB Animations. Interesting.
Huh.
I haven't heard about that one. I'll have to look that one up. Anime Scooby Doo show. That sounds pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie.
Feel like that's something that's been needing to happen for a while because we've had so many different Scooby Doo adaptations. Let's get an anime one.
An anime, yeah, why not? What else do we got here? We got Peg C in the house. How's it going, guys? Good to see you. Happy birthday, Marcelino. What's up, Marcelino? Happy birthday to David Attenborough, the legend turned 100. Man, you know,
Wow.
I tell myself all the day, wouldn't it be cool to live to be 100 years old? But then I just think to myself, like, in what capacity, though? You know, if I can still be have my wits about me, maybe. But that's pretty badass. Tony Robinson, what's up, Tony? Appreciate you coming through today, man. Pexi, back once again. Glad your voice is back, Adam. Me too, man. Congrats, Stuart, on being a married man. That's right. Congrats,
Thank
Stuart,
you.
as well. That's right.
Thank you.
Billy, I'm normally on my way to work, but I got a day off because Memorial Day weekend. On a different note, have you heard the backlash of the movie The Odyssey? I'm going to see Mandalorian and Grogu tomorrow early morning. Well, first off, Billy, thank you for joining us on your day off. I was just reminded that it is Memorial Day weekend, so I am off work tomorrow too. So very cool. I have the only pushback from the Odyssey I've heard so far is the Lupita Nyong'o casting. But aside from that, that's really all that I've heard about. But yeah, let us know what you think about the Mandalorian and Grogu when you check it out. Um,
What was the controversy with the
it's
casting?
just because it's Lupita Nyong'o, you know. I think she was being cast as goddamn some goddess of love or something like that. I can't remember who she was apparently cast as, and people are upset because she's not Greek or some shit. I'm like, bro, it's a made up story.
Oh, I was
Like,
gonna say I don't think any of them are.
yeah, like it's a made up story, guys. Like, let's
Yeah.
chill out. Um, we got Pexi says I saw the 3-paper docu series of the singer Kylie Minogue. I can never pronounce her name on Netflix called Kylie. Very cool. Kiki in the house. What's up, Kiki and Luca? With the super chat too to kick off the show. Very nice. Thank you so much. I saw Obsession last night. Man, what an unsettling movie.
That was great.
Yeah, dude. I also saw Mando and fell asleep twice, bro. You know, listen, I fell asleep. I've seen Mandalorian and Grogu twice. I fell asleep to Mando a Thursday night when I watched it. Um, to be fair, I watched it super late at night. It had to be like 11:15 or like 11:30 by the time the movie started. Um, Seeing movies on Wednesday and Thursdays after me having to travel back and forth to the work office is always a bad idea for me. So I was already exhausted from 2 days of work. And then I also smoked a little bit. So that definitely did not help. Your boy's eyes were
Of all of it.
yeah, your boy's eyes were heavy the moment the movie started. And so, yeah, I did not fare well on my first showing. But the second showing that I saw on Saturday, I had fun with it. But I can understand. Trust me, I can understand Kiki and Luca for sure. Oh, Helena of Troy. That's who she's supposed to be playing, Stuart. Helena of Troy, Lupita Nyong'o. But yeah, I'm glad you saw Obsession, Kiki and Luca, especially after our review on Monday. I'm glad you liked it, and thanks again for the super chat. Really, we really always appreciate the help in that for sure. And just a great example, like sending in a super chat really helps. Like kicking off the Force report and being able to not only get overlays done, but an intro done, to also get our own theme song and things like that created. You know, all of that doesn't get created without the help of you guys. So when you see cool little things like that continue to be produced around here and stuff, we even still trying to work on this weekly movie stuff. That's what's next now that we've wrapped up the Force Report stuff. But just so you know, anything that you donate towards the show definitely goes towards some of the things that you see around here. So we really appreciate it. Marcelino says, so for this week's live viewer questions, are you just doing this week's questions or are you also combining last week's questions? We'll see. We'll see how time allows us. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind tackling last week's questions too, but we'll see. All right, guys. With that out of the way, feel free to continue to drop your thoughts in the live chat. We'll definitely go ahead and bring them up as we discuss these topics. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and kick off our first segment of the day. All right.
Oh, you're muted.
I guess it played on my side. It was delayed. I clicked it.
Oh,
Did it play immediately for you?
the live viewer or the honorable mentions. Yeah, it worked on my end.
Okay, yeah, like it didn't work on my end, and then I start talking, and then it pops up. Like, what the heck? So it definitely threw me off. All right, so for those of you who don't know, this is your first time here at the channel. Honorable mentions is just a segment of the show in which there are topics that we felt you certainly still deserve to know about, but maybe just did not quite make our top 6. So let's go through some of these and see what didn't make the final cut, but you certainly still deserve to know about it. Oh, I did not add this to the list, but How to Train Your Dragon 2 has officially wrapped filming as of last week.
Oh, dang, I didn't even know they started.
Yeah, they started pretty quickly, immediately. But it has in fact wrapped filming, so it's headed to post-production now. We also have some word on the upcoming Rings of Power season 3. According to Collider.com, the Rings of Power will now officially debut its 3rd season on Prime Video November 11th. That's right, November 11th of this year. Prime Video announced the news during upfront presentation in New York last week. And after a lengthy 2 years, it is definitely welcomed news. One of the MGM studio producers, or the head, I should say, of Global Television said from the very beginning, this series has embodied the scale, ambition, and cinematic storytelling that define Prime Video's biggest series. The extraordinary response from millions of fans around the world has made it clear that this journey through Middle Earth continues to resonate, and that momentum has only grown headed into season 3. And I think he's absolutely right in regards to momentum. I know some people had their concerns after watching season 1. I would say season 2 definitely corrected a lot of those concerns. I thought it was an incredible season, and the momentum is definitely on their side going into season 3. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that show and its return, Stuart.
Definitely.
What else do we have on the docket here? Oh, one of the things that I guess I should say shouldn't surprise me, but we've known that this was coming for a long time. The Rocky Creed universe has plans on continuing to expand, especially after Creed 3. And one of those projects is an upcoming television series, Delphi. It's a focus on the boxing gym, if I'm not mistaken. And this week, the cast has been officially set. According to Deadline.com, Prime Video's Creed Universe TV series Delphi sets cast. Amazon has announced the cast for Delphi, its new TV series out of the Creed universe. You can see some of the series regulars right here. It says now currently in production in Los Angeles, Delphi follows a group of gifted young boxers and an elite academy fighting to achieve their dreams and reach the pinnacle of the sport. It says Benji Santiago will play Santi Torres, raised in East LA. Santi is a raw talent who has always lived in the shadow of his older brother. You have Juan Castano, who plays Nico Torres, Santi's older brother, who is a naturally gifted boxer whose personal setbacks have forced him to confront his innermost demons. So it looks like it's a lot of people here from the Torres family. There's a big breakdown of some of the characters and whatnot, but just to let you know, the series is currently filming. This is the next project from the Creed universe.
Hmm.
I'm kind of excited. Like, I can't say I'm like overly excited. I'm gonna this is definitely gonna be a wait and see for me. But I do like the concept and the idea of the Creed universe expanding a little bit. I think this is a pretty unique show in regards to following the careers of young boxers. What kind of drama can kind of unfold that might come out of it? I thought I heard Michael B. Jordan also talk about a Creed anime series.
I
I don't
remember
know if
that.
I'm kind of curious as to where that's at. If there's any further development for it, because boy, I would legit love to see that. Like even if it's just like smaller fights from Adonis and his main character or something like that throughout his kind of career so far. I what else do we have here? I'm just scrolling through my Grey's Anatomy has another spinoff coming, believe it or not. According to ComingSoon.net, ABC recently granted a straight-to-series order to Shonda Rhimes' untitled Grey Anatomy's Texas spinoff. This served as the long-running medical drama franchise's third TV spinoff series, following Private Practice and Station 19. The newest Grey's Anatomy series will be different from the main show and previous spinoffs in a big way, according to them. Described as a edgy drama, the upcoming spinoff will introduce Grey's Anatomy's fans to a new team of medical professionals, giving longtime viewers fresh new perspectives. According to the executive producer, despite the new characters and stories, they assured fans that the upcoming show will retain the same heart, emotion, and connection audiences have loved. So this is a Shonda Rhimes untitled Grey's Anatomy Texas spinoff. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I be a huge Grey's Anatomy's fan. I think I watched like the first 4 or 5 seasons like religiously until they started killing off like McSteamy and George, all that other stuff. And then I eventually fell off. But I don't even know what season they're on now. This got to be like season 20 or some shit, Stuart. Like it's
Yeah.
been a minute.
My roommate is super into Grey's Anatomy. For me, I've seen like a few episodes here and there. Not like a huge fan. I think it also doesn't help that recently I binged The Pit, and now I'm kind of like, okay,
Oh,
that is like peak medical drama. And it's like whenever I watch an episode of Grey's Anatomy, it's like I just can't take the show seriously anymore. Now that I've seen like how good a medical drama can actually be. What's funny about The Pit though is that even though I don't work in the medical field, obviously, I still feel stressed out like watching that show. Like it feels like I'm working a super busy shift at work. You know, it kind of gives me that same exact kind of anxiety. That's how good the show is. The fact that I feel uncomfortable watching it, not because of like, the subject matter of the episodes, but because like I feel as stressed out as the characters do.
yeah, I think I've only watched a few episodes of The Pit, honestly. But I have liked what I saw. I definitely need to get back to it for sure. Marcy says my sister is a Grey's Anatomy super fan and is all caught up.
That is impressive though.
That's
If you
some
can
commitment,
keep
man.
up for that long.
That's some commitment for sure. And then last but not least, we did have a new trailer from the upcoming Vought Rising series starring Jensen Ackles. I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to check out this trailer for yourself or not. Have you seen it, Stuart?
I have not, no.
No? Okay, let's check this out then, since you have not had the opportunity to see Vought Rising. So yeah, the boys I think just wrapped up, if I'm not mistaken, right, Stuart? Season
Yeah.
5 just wrapped up, and I'm assuming they dropped this to let people know, hey, the boys franchise is certainly still here to stay. But we do have ourselves a prequel spinoff for you guys in the form of Vought Rising with Jensen Ackles, certainly set to go ahead and return.
And
So let's
before
go.
you play that, I just want to make a quick PSA to everyone in the chat. I have not finished The Boys season 5. In fact, I actually haven't even started it, but I do want to. So just please no spoilers for at least the next couple of weeks. I swear I will eventually catch up on it. My Prime subscription expired, and I just need to renew it so I can get around to it. But please no spoilers, at least for today's show.
There you go. No spoilers. Let's go ahead and kick this off. Vought Rising, first look trailer.
You know, if you're working on something, maybe I could help. I want to fight for the flag. I want to be a hero.
Always in church, people say we are in this holy way.
God blessed us with these extraordinary heroes.
There are strange things happening every day. Every day. Every day.
Isaiah Bradley.
There is a brighter future. All we need to do is take it.
There are strange things happening every day.
That was what's her face from season 2, right?
Yeah, Stormfront.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool because timeline wise that makes sense. Okay.
You know, if you're working on something,
I'm actually really excited for it. I'm a sucker for like period pieces. So the fact that this takes place during I can't even know what the years are, but like just the aesthetics of it all, the set design, the costumes and stuff. I'm a really big fan of the time period that they're going to be focusing in on here. But yeah, Jensen Ackles just always looks the part. He looks like he fits this role beautifully. I haven't seen him so much as Soldier Boy in seasons 4 and 5. I still need to catch up when it comes to the boys. But from what I did see, I believe he premiered in season 3, if I'm not mistaken. He popped up in season 3, I think.
Yes, I believe it's 3.
I did like what I saw from him, so I'm kind of glad that he's getting some more screen time here in his own series.
Yeah, he does a good job when he's the kind of character that actually pisses me off in a good way, like whenever he's on screen. Because there's this whole thing about how he takes so much credit for shit that he's never even done. Like the main one being like he apparently like never even fought in World War II, but of course he takes credit for leading the charge of Normandy. And so like, and then like anytime he calls anyone calls him out on that, he it just basically beats the crap out of him because there was that whole thing where Huey even called him out on it. It was just like, you were never in World War II. And he just like punches him for that.
Let's see here. Marcian says he believes that they spent most of the final season just setting up Vought Rising. Toby Robbins says 1950s. Yeah, I think the title of the title of the year pops up in the beginning of the trailer too, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, the 1950s, interesting time period for them to kind of examine. And the idea of a black person with superpowers, can't have that.
And them like kind of experimenting on him, like you made the comparison with Isaiah Bradley from Captain America.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of immediately.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. Coming out in 2027, Vought Rising. I might check it out. I don't necessarily know if I need the background of the boys to have watched the whole entire series in order to just jump into Vought Rising, or if I can, consider the fact that it's a prequel and it's kind of a beginning story to it all. I would think I can just jump in fresh if I honestly wanted to. But I'm a fan so far of what I'm seeing. But
Yeah.
yeah, let us know your thoughts. And with that out of the way, Stuart, I think it's time to tackle these main topics, man. You ready to get into these main topics with me, bro?
Always.
Let's do it. We got 6 incredible topics we're going to be talking with you guys today. We got some Lanterns talk, as we got ourselves a brand new trailer here this week, along with some brand new images. We're also going to be continuing to talk about Michael, as that movie continues to be a box office smash, with talks of a sequel certainly around the corner. We even have some Avatar: The Last Airbender news for you guys, as we've got season 2 quickly approaching. They wind up dropping a trailer we're going to be examining for you guys here today as well, and a bunch of other topics also, man. So let's go ahead and kick this off with the topic of the week, really, which is in fact DCU Lanterns. Lanterns is on the docket here because we did get ourselves a brand new trailer, to talk about some new images. Also, Entertainment Weekly had a really great article that broke down some new images. Got the opportunity to talk with some of the showrunners and the director, or some of the showrunners and the writers of the series a little bit more. So we're going to be peeling back the layers, giving you guys some more details about the show itself. But we did get ourselves a brand new trailer this week. Stuart, did you get the opportunity to check out the trailer for yourself yet, or no?
I
It
have
was like
indeed.
early this week, like a Monday or Tuesday. Oh, so you did?
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and watch that trailer also, so we can get our hype levels up. Did you pull it up, or do you need me to pull it up?
I think I got it. I think I just need your permission to bring it up.
Oh, add to stage. There we go.
Perfect.
And this is no. You got Avatar. I want to do the Green Lantern one.
Oh,
let
wait,
me,
we're doing Green Lantern. My bad.
Yeah, that's okay. I got Green Lantern. Hold on, let me pull it up.
Oh, cool.
I'll grab the Green Lantern one real quick. And James Gunn introduced this trailer with just one sentence on his social media, and it said, "Are you afraid?" And he dropped this brand new sweet ass trailer. So let's go ahead and check out this trailer for, let me pull up the banner here, and then let's go ahead and check out this Lanterns trailer together. First, before I do that, I just want to make sure I've got the audio sharing properly. Okay, here we go.
This ring, it's the greatest weapon in the universe. When and if you use
Oh my
it,
God,
that's
there's actually green.
Stuart, there's green, Stuart. There's
the greatest
green.
weapon in the universe.
Stop the presses. We got our first construct. This movie's not all brown, ladies and gentlemen. We've got some green action going on here. Hold your horses. We're in for a ride now, Stuart. We're getting serious now.
When and if to use it, that's the whole ball game, Junior.
Did you just use that ring to counterfeit money? No.
Dude, why have I never thought about that before? Like, I'm sure he puts it in the jukebox and it's gotta immediately like disintegrate or deactivate. Like he just enough to get the jukebox to recognize it, and then it just vanishes.
And
That's pretty bad.
vanishes. Yeah, no, dude, like scalpers would have like the time of their lives with that, because nowadays, like with Pokemon, you can get like Pokemon cards from vending machines. Dude, scalpers would be taking so much advantage of that.
Oh yeah.
Tell me how you got it. The ring.
You know how I got it. I sure as hell didn't interview for it.
Oh, well, shit, maybe you should have. Power like that, shouldn't you have to work for it?
Dude, I love that line. The idea of like, how did you get that ring? I didn't have to interview it. Well, shit, maybe you should have, bro. I mean, granted, the ring chooses it because the ring technically kind of like knows knows you, knows like what you're capable of, sort of thing. But I do love the idea that, especially somebody that comes from a military background that has to take orders, or like there's a hierarchy to things. His mindset in regards to the idea of like, well, shit, maybe you should have been interviewed for, like, who knows, like what type of person you could potentially be wielding that type of power. I think it's a cool question to ask.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially given like yeah, the ring chose him, but it also chose him because like he was like, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it partially because he was like the closest in the area, and that was partially why the ring chose him, or was it Abed Sor that chose him specifically, like, or a mixture of the two?
I think it was the mixture of the two. So I think he chose him immediately, but the ring also chose him also. So I hope that's kind of explored a little bit in here. I know we're going to get some flashbacks, so I'm kind of curious if that's something that's explored also. But let's continue. Let me back this up just a little bit.
Or like that, shouldn't you have to work for it?
I've been doing this since you were a baby. The only way you're gonna get this ring is over my dead fucking body.
I think he likes me. Everybody is lying to us.
We're not leaving here till we find out what they're hiding. Danger's part of the job. You need to be fearless.
How are you chosen for this?
It's only one question. Are you afraid?
I do like this because it does show. I'm assuming this is Hal Jordan in his prime, when Jon Stewart was much younger. Clearly he's been a Lantern for a minute now. By the time we see him in current time, so it is kind of cool that we're going to be having some flashback sequences here, and even the idea of Jon Stewart as a kid, possibly maybe even looking up to Hal Jordan as a hero, or at least seeing Hal on TV as Green Lantern. I think that's kind of cool.
I hope that's what we get. I always love the kind of don't meet your heroes trope, or your heroes aren't what they you expected them to be.
Yeah, especially because I mean, he was a fighter pilot also, so I can see maybe John having looking up to him in some capacity in that regards. But it's kind of cool that we'll get the opportunity to see I don't know if it's just Hal in this interview in his prime, or if we'll actually see more stuff of him in his prime, but it's kind of cool they're going back like that.
It's only one question. Are you afraid?
You afraid?
Are you afraid?
Hey, we got a Guy Gardner sighting. We're definitely going off planet here for sure. We have some looks like there's maybe a prison planet that he's visiting somebody on. We even got a shot, Stuart, of we'll return to this image, but a shot of him in his uniform here too. I'm hearing people speculate that he might be visiting Sinestro here. I don't know.
That looks too human to be Sinestro, because the skin doesn't look red enough.
That's true. But let's continue here.
Are you afraid? Are you afraid? Are you afraid? Are you afraid? Was raised fearless, and I'll do this better than he's ever done it before.
Then go and get it, Jon Stewart.
Woo. First off, two things real quick.
That shot's so cool.
That is a cool shot, and you see the green glow there too. So he's clearly present when something goes down involving a lantern. I'm wondering if that is in fact Hal back in the day, or if it's somebody else. So I'm kind of curious as to like what is it that John sees, and what is going on here, because there's definitely a lantern involved in this shot.
Yeah, I wonder if like he saw that John had the ring on and was like, "Oh, he'll survive this explosion."
We also show Um, I do love this line.
I was raised fearless, and I'll do this better than he's ever done it before.
Then go and get it, John Stewart.
The go and get it, John Stewart. You know, I have a theory about who this lady is. The way he's talking to her and the way that she's talking to him makes me think that like she clearly is very much aware as to who the Green Lanterns are, has some sort of power and decision making behind things. Like why he would even be talking to her about Hal in the ring in the first place if she's just a normal human. I think she's a Oa guardian in disguise in human
Ooh.
form. If I had to put money on it, I don't know if there's a guardian that's on Earth and they're disguising themselves in order to kind of fit in. But the way that that sentence is delivered, like the way he's talking to them and they're talking to him, almost makes me wonder if there's an Oa if she's an Oa guardian, giving him, I don't want to say a mission, but like just emphasizing, like, you know, go get that ring sort of thing. So maybe I'm tripping, but I just want to go over that one more time here.
Fearless, and I'll do this better than he's ever done it before.
Then go and get it, John Stewart.
I don't know, man. There's something going on, bro.
I think you might be onto something. They may not be able to, because maybe it might be one of those things where like Hal Jordan has to give up the ring willingly, and the Guardians know that they can't convince him to do so. So maybe that's why they go after someone like John Stewart. They're thinking like, you know, could you talk to Hal Jordan, human to human, let him know that, hey man, you're getting old, you need to retire. It's time to let someone else carry the ring for now.
But yeah, I mean, but I do wonder how that fits into the canon of just Green Lantern lore in general. I mean, because we do have multiple Earth Lanterns, right? In both Kyle and Guy, Jessica, Simon. I mean, there's just so many Earth Lanterns already. Like, why is there a need for John to have to get Hal's ring? You know,
I would assume just because well, like if we're going with the assumption that like from what we see in the trailer that Hal Jordan is a bit more reckless, you know, in his older age, it could be something along those lines. Like they no longer trust him like they used to because he's gotten a little more reckless and more careless. I mean, so there is one scene I didn't talk about it the first time we played the very first trailer, but there is one scene that doesn't sit right with me. And I feel like that could change based on the show itself because we still need more context. But it was definitely the scene where you get Hal Jordan interrogating someone, but he's beating the crap out of him, and that just like is not something I like to see a superhero do. Like even if it's supposed to be like a old like out of his prime superhero, unless that's the point. Unless the point is this guy shouldn't be doing superhero duties anymore. It's just I don't you know, just when it comes to defense, specifically like defenseless interrogation, you're defeating like you're beating up a defenseless victim trying to get information. Like, you know, that's just never my thing when it comes. I don't really like that when it comes to superheroes we're supposed to look up to. So I would hope that if he's gonna cross lines like that, it's something that the Guardians take note of and they're like, yeah, we're not okay with this. So yeah, it could be something along those lines.
you might be onto something there because I mean, look, I don't. The Guardians have never always been the most trustworthy type in the galaxy. I mean, they definitely have their own agendas, certainly at times. We definitely have seen Guardians go, you know, rogue, if you will, too. So, yeah, I can definitely see it be a case of like he's older, he's a little bit more unhinged, he's got a lot of power, and we don't necessarily want him to have that ring anymore. We would like it to be passed down to kind of somebody else, sort of thing. So yeah, maybe there is some uncertainty growing with Hal Jordan, and we have always teased the concept too about parallax around here for like the longest time.
Yeah.
You know, people have wondering if Hal's going to die by the end of this show. He even says like over my dead fucking body sort of thing. It's just like, bro, you're really hinting that you're not going to make it past season one. But I do wonder if there's other plans for Hal outside of death, you know, in the sense of him either turning to the dark side and embracing fear, or the parallax a little bit and building towards something bigger. So who really knows? But it looks good, man. It looks good. This trailer was everything that I really needed it to be. Marcelino does bring up an interesting question. Why wasn't this the first trailer they released? This is how you promote a Green Lantern show. I would say that that's kind of debatable, honestly. While I didn't mind the first trailer, I thought the first trailer did what it was supposed to do in regards to emphasizing, we told you that this was going to be a grounded, true detective vibe type of show, and that's exactly what they delivered. But that's not to say that this trailer didn't exude that either, right? Like, this trailer also exudes the true detective aspect of things, but also showcases, hey, this is kind of a lantern show. So yeah, I am kind of curious as to why this might not have been their first trailer out of the gate. But I'm just glad that we at least finally got it.
Honestly, I think they were just really excited to show off the fact that this new DC universe, they wanted to show off how tonally different everything's going to be. So they were like, hey, you didn't like how Superman and Peacemaker were funny? Well, here's Lanterns. Check us out. Check this out. We're going the exact opposite direction with this. I don't think they expected that many fans to be upset with it. I think what they expected was that fans would know, oh, they're not showing us green because it's a teaser. But I guess they overestimated the common sense of some people. But that's just my opinion. I think this trailer was gave us a lot more lanterns. Let us know that, yes, even though this is going to be a grounded setting, they're not forgetting the roots of the lanterns. There's still going to be space. There's still going to be like this sci-fi prison. So I think it is still going to feel like lanterns, like Green Lanterns for the most part. Can I tell you my favorite thing about this, though?
Yeah.
So I remember when news about the show was coming out, I was one of the articles we were reading was suggesting that like Hal Jordan was going to be like grumpy and old, and then Jon Stewart was going to be kind of the lighthearted humor kind of aspect. So like Hal Jordan was going to be the straight man, Jon Stewart was going to be the funny man, and that didn't sit right with me for two reasons. One, that's definitely not their dynamic in the comic books. Two, that almost feels like you're ripping off Men in Black. But watching this trailer, that doesn't seem to be the case at all. Like Hal Jordan definitely, while he's old and grumpy, he's definitely the one cracking a lot more jokes than Jon Stewart. And Jon Stewart definitely seems to be like the no nonsense, we need to get the job done kind of character. And so because of that, I think the banter between the two of them is awesome. Yeah. Even though we only got the trailer so far, I am so excited to see how it's going to look in the TV show. I think that is probably the number one aspect of the show that I'm looking forward to.
We got Kiki and Luke also say, I love the Penguins at the DC Penguins show. Not sure about this show. Well, look, this is also another HBO original, very much like Penguins certainly is. And if there's anything I've learned about HBO Max original projects, they're always prestigious. Like they're always like top of the line quality type television shows that are like built and made to get like Emmy recognition sort of thing. So I definitely do think from a production storyline perspective, I think it'll definitely be there, Kiki and Luca, but we'll see. Let's see here. We also did get ourselves an article from Entertainment Weekly that I wanted to bring to your guys' attention and talk about this with you guys a little bit. Also, we might even bring up some of the images, the exclusive images that they drop out. How Lanterns gave DC Space Cops a gritty drama with dueling timelines. That's right, you read that correctly. Dueling timelines. Fueled by green energy of will, the alien bling allows its bearer to summon virtually anything that can imagine into existence. Need to catch a falling civilian in a giant baseball mitt? Want to suit up inside a glowing green Gundam-style battle bot? Power blasts, force fields, armor, weapons, constructs, it's all on the table. According to the showrunner Chris Mundy, it says it's the power of creativity to a certain extent. You're thinking on the fly. It's the power of whatever your brain decides will solve the thing in front of you. So we try to have fun with that. There are times where we use it as a funny thing in the middle of a situation, and then there are times when we use it practically. Um, Basically, Mundy and company, including fellow co-creators Damon Lindelof and Tom King, gave the so-called Space Cops their own cop show. It says, we wanted to tell an on-the-ground story, and that has a couple of different mysteries inside of it. What we have going for us is that it's a Green Lantern story. They can conjure anything from the ring. They do go off the planet. There's also these other powers that they have. We want to use everything that's great about the mythology of Green Lanterns, but at the same time, we want it to feel like an upscale mystery, a very emotionally tangible story about these people that are in it. And we do have, let me drop this bigger photo. Let me see if it'll let me pull it up here for you guys as we continue. The story begins in 2016 when a shooting occurs in the small rural town of Rushville, Nebraska. It looks as though Hal Jordan, who has been keeping tabs on the town from afar for quite a while, is convinced it's an alien incident. However, the local authorities, as you can see here, Sheriff Carey, played by Kelly McDonald, finds no evidence to support that assertion. There's a familiar tension just in terms of jurisdiction, Mundy describes. It's not like FBI and locals, it's the Lantern Corps and a local sheriff. That's our entry into that town and into the mystery. So it looks like something drastic happens in this town. Sheriff thinks it's just nothing in particular, but Hal and them clearly think it's an alien level incident. Hal is forced to bring along John Stewart, the new Earthbound Lantern recruit. He still reluctantly mentors 2 months in. So we jump in to them already being together here. It's not a case of like they get introduced for the first time. No, they've been buddy for about 2 months now, doing their best to try and get along. John remains a constant source of ire for Hal due to the fact that he is an anomaly. I wonder what that means. It says, in the history of the Corps, the ring always chooses the Lantern. Those are the rules. That's how Hal got his job in the first place. There was never meant to be a Green Lantern of Earth, Mundy says. But after one of their members, Abin Sur, fatally crash lands onto the planet, the alien ring was drawn to this former pilot to be its new bearer. John's recruitment, however, marks the first time the Guardians of the Universe, the very founders of the Corps itself, intervene to self-anoint a member of their order. They felt they had just cause. There you go, Stuart. That answers a lot of questions.
Question answered.
So this is like they're doing something different here. So that makes me so the conversation that John's having with the lady at the end makes me think she's definitely a Guardian. It makes me definitely feel like she's a Guardian that's setting John up to take this ring for himself in sort of like the self-anointed aspect by the Guardians, kind of bypassing the whole concept of the ring chooses its owner sort of thing. So I can also now see like the pushback as to why Hal is like, over my dead effing body, dude, right? Like the ring chose me. I'm not just about to hand my ring over sort of mentality. That kind of brings things into a much better perspective, I think.
Now keep that in mind, on top of the fact that you know who they're not asking to retire the ring, Guy Gardner. So imagine you exist on Earth with Guy Gardner, this buffoon who makes you look dumb because people probably get the two of you mixed up because you're both Green Lantern, and then suddenly the Guardians are like, yeah, he can keep his role as Green Lantern. You got to give it up.
Yeah. So like what is making them want to do this in the first place? What is that just cause that they feel is necessary? Man, I cannot wait. So they do talk a little bit about Hal being recruited and mentored by veteran Lantern Sinestro. Mundy plays coy about whether he is the big bad of season 1. He says, obviously, in the canon, Sinestro's the big bad, he prefaces. He says, the thing that interests us is this idea that Hal was trained by Sinestro. Hal is training John. In the coaching tree, we're very interested in what gets passed on, what doesn't, how much is human nature. We talked a lot about programming and parenting and training. What did Hal take away from Sinestro that was good or bad? It brings up a lot of interesting worries. So that could be a case too of like the just cause of the Guardians. Now that Hal is a little bit older, is he picking up on some of the things that Sinestro taught him, whether that be the good or the bad? Is he now tapping into maybe some of those bad elements, right? Like you said it at the top, Stuart, the idea of like that interrogation scene alone, like it doesn't feel very befitting of a hero sort of mentality. Maybe that's Sinestro's teachings kind of coming into play, and maybe the Guardians kind of see that, and maybe that's something that even John is kind of taking a little notice of as well.
Yeah.
It says the main worrying being that Hal is now forced to train his own replacement. John is the backup Lantern in the event anything happens to Hal. It's the old guard and the heir apparent, Mundy notes. We lean into that tension quite a bit in that early time period. It says, no, Mundy didn't slip up. There are 2 timelines in season 1 of Lanterns. The drama unfolds between 2016, setting involving the shooting in Rushville, and then 10 years later to something else in 2026, the showrunner teases. I wonder if that shooting in Rushville is where we see John with the sniper rifle, and that event takes place with like a lantern there. I'm wondering if that's what they're referring to. But it says, so they will be jumping back and forth, it seems like, between 2016 and 2026. Something that happens in 2016 that eventually also trickles its effects into 2026. That becomes a second mystery that we know is down the road for us. So eventually 2 different mysteries get worked out over the course of the show. Mundy explains how the dueling timelines of Lanterns create emotional mysteries, referring to Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson's season in particular of True Detective. It was less of a whodunit as much of a what happened and why. We think of this as a relationship show between John and Hal, and there's a lot to unpack over the course of 8 episodes. It also says within the 10-year gap between the timelines are the events of last year's summer movie Superman, which introduced Guy Gardner. So this definitely confirms Lantern takes place after Superman. Mundy confirms Guy, who's described as fabulously obnoxious, will be in the show a few different times. There are a bunch of other people from the mythology, from the canon, but not the other Lanterns, he notes. We talk about them at different times, but they're not going to interact with them over the course of this series. So like over the course of this season. So like Kilowog, the Squirrel, Ego, what is it? Whoever the living planet of the Lanterns is, right? So it looks like some of the other Lanterns won't show up in here outside of Guy Gardner, but they'll definitely be name dropped. But a bunch of other people from mythology and from canon definitely set to go ahead and show up in here. But what do you think about that last tidbit of information, Stu?
Slightly disappointing. We're not going to get more of the alien lanterns, but also not surprising, again, given the vibe that they're going for with this show. But I do like the fact that they are going to reference them. And I also really like, because we even kind of see that in the first trailer where, Hal Jordan even refers to the talking squirrel, So, yeah, a little disappointing. We're not going to see them, but I'm glad that, they're not like dismissing them, that we're still going to get, that they're still going to get mentioned.
Yeah, they do mention in the article too that the show is meant to be a multi-season show. So if this isn't a limited series one-off sort of thing, so they do plan on doing a Lantern season 2 and more afterwards. So the potential of having other characters pop up is very much a real thing here. So yeah, they could pop up in future seasons as well. But the more and more that I hear about this show, Stuart, the more and more I'm continuing to get really excited for it. How do you feel about Hal Jordan's costume here, though? I've been seeing some complaints about it.
Uh, it's not my favorite, but I don't mind it. I think it looks all right.
Yeah, it's definitely not my favorite. Also, maybe I am kind of curious. I am I'm assuming that every lantern has its own design for costumes. Um, Guy's is definitely different from Hal. But then again, I don't think Guy Gardner's is maybe his traditional Green Lantern costume. That feels very much more like a corporate outfit that's been given to Guy. So I am kind of curious as to like what his official like Green Lantern costume certainly might look like. If it's even similar to that of Hal Jordan's. But I'm assuming that John's will probably look significantly different as well. This just feels very like old school OG kind of costume that maybe Homeboy hasn't even upgraded in a long time or what. But I am eager to kind of see what the costume maybe looks like in action when we get to see it a little bit more, the dynamics of it, and really what John's costume is going to look like. I think is the one that I'm really fascinated to learn about.
I hope we get a mixture of both, because we see that like how Jordan has like his old costume hanging up, and in the comic books, because we've seen two ways in the comic books. We've seen that yes, Green Lantern uniforms can be taken on and off and all that, but we've also seen Green Lanterns being able to construct their own uniform with the ring. So I'm wondering if we're going to get that with John Stewart, if he's going to make his own outfit with the ring. Or if it's like they're going with the costumes only. I kind of hope there's a mixture of the two. Like you can use your own costume, but you can also construct it with the ring. I really hope we get to see a costume getting formed with the ring.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Kind of reminds me of like Iron Man's nanotechnology, but I would love to see the ring form it for John when it's time. But yeah, the more and more that I hear about this, I think this is going to be a really compelling show. I think it's going to be really smart and brilliant. I think they've got some incredible writers on board here that are going to give us a really unique take on a Green Lantern story that I think will work for many once they actually give the show an opportunity. But we'll see how it turns out. But guys, we want to know your levels of excitement and anticipation for Lanterns. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, from one cosmic adventure to another sci-fi, or I should say space fantasy adventure in the form of Star Wars. As Star Wars is back in the news here this week, we got ourselves a brand new movie that has in fact been released, The Mandalorian and Grogu, currently out in theaters. If you get the opportunity to see Mando and Grogu, I would highly recommend checking it out over in IMAX if you get the opportunity. If not, definitely check it out in Dolby or maybe like a really big sort of premium screen if you can. But Star Wars is in the news not just for Mandalorian and Grogu, but Dave Filoni himself is making the rounds now that he is the co-CEO of Lucasfilm. It's kind of crazy to have that title in front of him now, but one of the things that we're all going to have to get used to is the idea of seeing a little bit more of Dave around in regards to doing interviews, talking about the future of Star Wars and upcoming projects. And this week he had the opportunity to have an exclusive interview with Collider, where he talks about the big screen future for Star Wars a little bit. He doesn't necessarily reveal any upcoming projects, but just gives his thoughts in regards to how he plans on handling things from a big screen perspective. So let's go ahead and dive into this one. Again, this comes to us from Collider. Where'd it go? There we go. Lucasfilm President Dave Filoni officially confirmed Star Wars big screen future. Dang it. I didn't want to take up too much of that space. Let me pull this back here. Fans around the world are all wondering if Lucasfilm's going to look any different under Dave Filoni's leadership, and now we finally have an idea of what the future looks like. Collider sound with both Dave Filoni and writer-director Jon Favreau to talk about the new Star Wars movie. When asked if Filoni had plans about how many shows or movies he wanted to see each year and what the broad future of Star Wars was going to look like, this isn't dealing with hard numbers like that. I'm just looking at the stories and the potential and planning what I'd like to do. I believe in having an overarching idea and then saying, okay, it's this many of that, and then we can have that. There are certain things that have been in motion already that obviously I want to continue. John and I have had a great partnership for many years now telling stories. So I look at the stories that I'm kind of planning and architecting, and I look at other creative talents that bring us also great stories and just how to try and find a way to make them all work. Says Dave Filoni isn't stepping back from the creative side of Star Wars. He continued his conversation saying, "There's a lot on my plate, which is exciting, not just in live action, but animation like Maul, which has been very fun." Well, come back here. Come back. I almost had it. Like Maul, which has been very fun, and they're driving forward. I've got Ahsoka season 2 coming, which is very exciting. He said Filoni continued. Sean Levy did a great job with Starfighter, so there's a lot. And the re-release of Episode 4. There's so much exciting stuff coming from Star Wars fans, but I have to say, I said this earlier, fans have known me now for 20 years and that I've worked with and told Star Wars stories, so I think they have an idea of what to expect. I'm so far really enjoyed collaborating with everybody, and we are well on our way. The future's in motion now, so it's pretty exciting. So he doesn't really tell us exactly how many movies or how many television series he certainly wants them to do. But he does say, I believe in having an overarching idea and then saying, okay, it's this many of that, and then we can have that. There are certain things that have been in motion already that obviously I want to continue. I'm just looking at the stories and potentially and planning what I'd like to do. So it does seem as though there's some level of some things that are going to be carried over from the Kathleen Kennedy stuff that might still be in the works that Dave Filoni is fond of seeing. But it seems as though he's at least planning some type of overarching idea of what he would personally like to see, kind of fleshing out maybe the upcoming timeline a little bit. But what do you think about what he had to say, Stuart?
I mean, I like this idea because it kind of seems like right now with everything, like Disney was just kind of like how do I say it? Like I think like Disney is too reactive when it comes to Star Wars, like completely changing their fans based on like either fan backlash or fan reception. I feel like anytime like a Star Wars project comes out and it's not getting like the 100% positive feedback, suddenly it's like they need to course correct and change direction immediately. So I think that's like part of why Disney has never been able to find like a consistent, like, how do I put it? Like they haven't like with Star Wars after the trilogy, they haven't been able to consistently put out movies and things like that. They haven't had like any like solid plan. Like they have, like, it feels like kind of phase 1 of the MCU in terms of what they're doing with Star Wars right now, which is they're throwing stuff up that could set up something else, but it's kind of like they're waiting until the moment comes where they're like, okay, how are we gonna connect it all? But I think now with Dave Filoni being ahead of the whole thing, and with him, I think he seems like the kind of guy that doesn't really seem interested in pleasing fans specifically. More of he just wants to tell his story within the Star Wars universe, and hopefully that story is good enough to please fans. I don't think he's the kind of person that will constantly course correct, based on like obviously I think like there is obviously a degree of you should listen to the fans in some circumstances. I just think you shouldn't be too overreactionary like Disney has been, hence why they haven't been able to really keep, with the exception of the Mandalorian, they haven't really been able to keep a steady Star Wars project for some time. So hopefully that's like the main thing that Dave Filoni is going to be able to fix. I think it makes sense that Dave Filoni didn't go into too much detail, because another thing that Kathleen Kennedy, if there is one thing I will give Kathleen Kennedy a lot of shit for, it is for the constants of her announcing projects only to then just like not go through with them. I think Dave Filoni at the very least is the kind of guy that will commit to a project if he's able to. So that's kind of the number one thing I'm hoping from this. It's like when you announce a project, commit to that project.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I'm glad that you brought that up, because for as long as I've known Dave Filoni, or that like I've not known him personally, but like that I've seen him when it comes to press or on the stage at conventions and stuff, Dave is very secretive about the projects that he works on. Like he doesn't really boast about them a lot or put them out into the world too early until he kind of knows what it is that he wants to create, or it's revealed to us, sort of thing. I've seen plenty of people try and get Dave Filoni to like spoil things or like reveal stuff over the years, and he just won't do it. He's just a really he's just a tight-lipped dude when it comes to his thing. So you're probably right in that regards to like he might take the James Gunn route in the sense of he won't really talk about it until it's greenlit and like announced and ready to go. Whereas Kathleen Kennedy is like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And then none of that stuff, unfortunately came to fruition. But I also think you might be right, too, because of the fact that Dave Filoni is the protege of George Lucas. He does a lot of things very similar to that of George. And I think one of those things is be very stubborn about the story that you want to tell. And that if you have a story that you want to tell, it don't matter how much people complain about it or have issues with it, you're still going to tell your story. Like I'm sure George Lucas took a lot of heat after the Phantom Menace episode 1. But some people, he's just like, fuck it, I still got 2 more movies to make, y'all. Like, I don't know what to tell y'all. Like, you're just gonna have to sit through these movies as I produce them. And that's not to say that George Lucas didn't like make improvements on scripts or do things a little bit better after hearing some of the feedback, but he kept telling the story and pushing the narrative in the direction in which he wants to. And I could easily see Dave Filoni kind of doing that too, like having this great overarching idea, knowing what points that you kind of want to hit creatively, and just tell those stories and get them out of the way. And if people complain about a certain aspect of things, that's fine. Just move on to the next movie and just make any like corrections that you might need to here or there, but never go away from the story that you certainly want to tell. And I think Dave Filoni is probably the stubborn type like that. When he's committed to doing an idea, he probably wants to explore it. But I do like the idea too, though, that he's trying to show some level of flexibility in here too, right? Like not just his stories, but open to the idea of other creatives coming on board that also want to tell really great stories. If he can find really great creators also to tell his stories that he wants to tell, like if he can be the Kevin Feige in the sense of having moments in time and story points that he wants to explore, but then having somebody come in who happens to be a really great writer and expand on that and create a great screenplay for some of Dave Filoni's stuff, I would absolutely be open to that. So he seems open to having other creatives come in and even carrying over some of the stuff that Kathleen Kennedy wind up bringing over. Now, I don't know exactly what that is. Like when he says there are other things that are kind of already in play before I came into this position, the first thing that comes to mind for me is the Simon Kinberg trilogy that I know him and Kathleen were really high on. And I think that's probably still the direction that they kind of want to go. But after Kathleen Kennedy's sort of exit interview, when she dropped the news that like there's so many completed scripts out there on projects that are just ready to be greenlit, like the James Mangold stuff script. I think she said was ready. Even like the Lando scripts for a potential Lando series is ready if they wanted to do something like that, right? So there's a lot of things that are waiting to be made, and it'll be interesting to see like what Dave Filoni wants to greenlight and the direction in which he takes Star Wars. Is he going to push towards the future, everything after Rise of the Skywalker? Will he, bounce back and forth between different eras for certain projects? I think Star Wars Celebration 2027 is going to be a huge one for Dave Filoni in regards to allowing him to really unveil the potential of where he wants to take Star Wars and any new projects that might be on board for him. So I think he's right in the sense of letting us know, hey, there's an overarching type of story that I certainly want to tell, and mixing in that between movies and television. But I definitely do not expect anything big revealed from Dave Filoni, at least until Star Wars Celebration. I just think that's the reality of it, because he's just so tight-lipped as it is. So good luck to Dave Filoni, man. But I like that he's not giving away too much here as of right now, but he seemingly has an idea as to what he wants to do, at least.
Yeah, definitely. I think the one concern I definitely have, kind of what you brought up earlier, which obviously it seems like because they're currently in production anyway, so I don't think Dave Filoni would ever like cancel something like in production. But you mentioned things that were in the work with Kathleen Kennedy in charge. Something I hope doesn't change though, because one thing I think that Kathleen Kennedy did a good job at, but also kind of never followed through on that. I do like how she gave different directors very completely different like kind of visions in order to tell their story. So for example, the fact that you could have a show like Star Wars Acolyte and a show like Star Wars Andor, which are both like very, very different types of shows. And I think that that's one thing really cool about the Star Wars universe, is that you can tell so many different types of stories and doesn't necessarily have to follow a specific format, a specific kind of tone. That's one thing I think that like Disney did a great job with in terms of expanding the universe of Star Wars, and that's something I hope Dave Filoni kind of continues on his side. Because don't get me wrong, I enjoy Ahsoka. That was a fun show, but it definitely, and kind of like how I feel about Mandalorian season 3, they very much feel very similar, very tropey, very, samey in a lot of ways. So it's one of those things where it's like, I do want to see Dave Filoni continuing to tell his stories that he wants to tell within the Star Wars universe, but I hope he doesn't like dismiss other like, fresh new takes on the Star Wars universe that you normally wouldn't see. Especially, Skeleton Crew. I can't believe I forgot about that one. Yep. But again, another one, great show, completely different vibe from any other Star Wars project we've gotten before. So, I hope we continue this, and eventually, hopefully we get a Star Wars horror film. I'm just saying that would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool. I just need my Skeleton Crew season 2 already. Like, I don't know what. I don't know what the holdup is here, man. It was really well received. So we'll see what the future of that kind of looks like. This whole Mandoverse is something that I'm fascinated in to kind of see like where this story is kind of leading. I am hoping that Ahsoka 2 is a step up from a writing perspective for Dave Filoni in regards to really flexing his muscles and showing like what he's really capable of from a writing perspective. Now that he's getting a little bit more into live action, I think Ahsoka season 2 is going to be a real barometer for where Dave Filoni is definitely at, because he's supposed to be having a movie come out also. So I am wondering if that's going to be his next project. Maybe we don't see Skeleton Crew until his movie. Like maybe it's just going to be a big amalgamation of all these Mandoverse timeline characters kind of coming together. So we'll see what Dave Filoni has in store, but I expect the big reveals to drop. I don't know if there's a D23 this year or not, but if I'm Disney and I'm Lucasfilm, I'm holding off on any big Star Wars project news until at least Star Wars Celebration 2027. Maybe that's a little bit too late. I'm not quite sure. I know we have Star Wars Starfighter supposed to be dropping, I think, next year, if I'm not mistaken. So they can definitely celebrate that. But I would think from a production standpoint, you might start wanting to put other things in the oven to start cooking and start producing. So there's not a big gap between your next big feature film and any other television show that you kind of want to work on. So who knows? Maybe D23 has some smaller announcements, but I do think Star Wars Celebration 2027 is going to be a big one for Dave Filoni.
Definitely.
So, yeah, let us know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's move over to some television series news. As this week, we wind up getting a brand new look at the upcoming Avatar: The Last Airbender Season 2. We wind up getting ourselves a brand new trailer that wind up dropping that I think Stuart is going to bring up for us here in a little bit. We also did get our very first, another new poster, as well as Season 2 is set to premiere June 25th. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Stuart, from some of the stuff we've reported in the past, I think Season 2 and Season 3 were filmed concurrently, which is probably for the best, considering the fact that Aang is now like a 35-year-old man in this show. So probably best to get as much filming out of the way as possible. But Season 2 headed here June 25th. And I think Stuart brought up the trailer as well. So let's go ahead and dive into this when you're ready, sir.
Let's do it.
The Earth Kingdom is going to fall.
There's a Fire Nation army just beyond the wall.
I'm sorry, Avatar. You may be confused. There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
The Fire Nation hasn't stopped fighting. All over the Earth Kingdom, they're waging war. If we're gonna defeat them, I need you to teach me earthbending. You're the best earthbender I've ever seen.
This is the Avatar? Zuzu, he's a little boy.
We've already won. The question is, how much are you willing to lose?
Avatar Season 2 of The Last Airbender. Stuart, I definitely want to know your thoughts, man. You are the Avatar fan here. I unfortunately don't think I finished Season 1 of the live action here either. But I will say this. From a production standpoint, it looks good. I like the color grading in here. I like the aesthetics and some of the set designs and whatnot. The action looks pretty good as well. So it does feel a little bit more, I don't want to say grown up from the Season 1 that I recall. But it looks interesting to me. But again, this is an outsider looking in. I heard you laughing at times in this trailer also.
Oh, there was
just what you think.
Yeah, so the reason I was laughing specifically, so they introduced the character Julie or Judy, one of those two, and she's basically this brainwashed character who, while they're in Bossing Say, while Avatar and everyone's in Bossing Say, they're trying to warn everyone about, like, you know, the danger of the Fire Nation and how Bossing Say isn't going to stay safe for long. But of course, you have the Dai Li, I believe that's what they were called, like this kind of group that works for the king of Bossing Say, but they very much are like kind of the group where it's like they really run things and they give the king the illusion that he's still in power, but really they're the ones who are running everything behind his back. So part of their brainwashing is that they have like these kind of maids that they'll brainwash, and their job is to basically get people to not even think about anything going on outside the walls of Bossing Say. So when you had her going like, there is no war in Bossing Say to Avatar, that's why I was laughing, because that was like one of my favorite scenes from the original series. So I'm looking forward to seeing that like play out in live action. So yeah, like shot for shot, man, so many scenes look straight out of the original series. Very much like, you know, in the season 1 trailer. I think where things differed a lot though with season 1 is the order in which things took place, and the location in which those events took place as well were a lot different than what we ended up getting in the original series. And it kind of makes sense because they had to cram it into 8 episodes, 20 episodes worth of material into 8. Do I think they could have done a better job at it? Yes. I said this when talking about season 1 of Avatar. I compared it to the M. Night Shyamalan live action Avatar movie, where to me, M. Night Shyamalan is a talented writer who just gave zero shits about the source material and just told his own kind of story using the Avatar name. Whereas the Netflix Avatar feels like it's written by people who are actually really big fans of the show, but they're not really good writers is the problem. But that being said, I'd say like it's kind of clear that a lot of them were amateur writers in the first season. So now that they've had a whole season of experience, and now that they've gotten the, feedback from the internet and all that, I do think there is room for improvement with season 2. A lot of things that we see in season 2, I think, are actually, or everything that we see in the trailer. Again, it's hard to say whether it's going to work or not because it looks just as good as the trailer did for season 1. I still think that first trailer we got for season 1 looked absolutely incredible, even if the show itself was just kind of, mid. So that's what I feel like going into this one, is that I like everything that I'm seeing, but I've also been let down by the trailer for season 1. So it could be the same thing here. But in terms of the way it's filmed, in terms of like visually, I think they capture the look, from Avatar so well, almost too well at times. I get the complaint that some people have when it comes to the costume designs, in that because they look exactly like the cartoon in terms of both not only design, but also in terms of color, and in terms of the fact that I was actually like paying close attention to this. Even when they're supposed to be like in these fight scenes, the clothes rarely look that dirty. Like there's rarely that much like dust on them. And it does, I get why that does kind of take some people out of the show at different times. That was definitely a thing in season 1. And that's definitely something now that I've seen that pointed out a lot with season 1, is something I've been paying attention to with this trailer of season 2. And I can definitely see what people mean. But overall, even though I thought season 1 was a bit of a letdown, I do think there's room for improvement. So I will be checking out season 2. The quality of this season will definitely determine whether or not I keep going with season 3. Because, if this season ends up being the same quality as season 1, I think this will be the last season for me. But if I see some improvement, I'm going to keep going. But yeah, I'd say that I'm cautiously optimistic for the season.
That's good to know. I haven't. I really need to get back into this show. I don't know why I stopped. I don't think it was like. I didn't think it was bad or anything. I think it was just other content on TV that I wind up getting sidetracked to start watching, and I just never went back to it. But I am kind of curious because I believe the creators of Avatar wind up leaving the project, if I'm not mistaken, right?
So I
2 and 3.
So I heard an interesting rumor, and I want to emphasize rumor because the sources of which I hear this from are just YouTube. They're YouTubers with a lot of views and a lot of subscribers, but they don't have anything like that makes me think, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. But some people that claim to know people behind the scenes at Netflix, supposedly the original creators wanted to do a completely different show than Avatar: The Last Airbender. Apparently, they wanted to use the same characters, same storyline, but in terms of where the story went, they wanted to completely change it. Like Iroh, who's everyone's favorite character, for example, Uncle Iroh, apparently he was going to be written to be the main villain this time around because they didn't want to make the exact same story that they had already done. So supposedly that was why they were kicked off the project, was because Netflix was like, no, we want the same thing as the original series. We don't want you to do anything new. And apparently they wanted to do something new with the project. But again, that is very much take that what I said with a grain of salt. I do not know for sure. One of these days, though, if I ever meet the creators of Avatar, I want to ask them why they left the project on Netflix and what their plans were going to be. Because I'm still very curious about that, like how much of that is true.
Yeah, I would definitely love to know as well. I'm hoping that this is a bigger improvement from season one. I hope that they had the opportunity to take any of the feedback that they might have gotten from season one and just improved upon it. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how season two unravels. But let us know your guys' thoughts when you see the season two trailer for Avatar. What are your thoughts and what are your expectations for this show? I definitely would love to know. All right. And with that out of the way, Stuart, let's move on to our next topic as it looks as though 007, James Bond himself, is back in the news here. We do know that Amazon MGM is now the owner to the rights of James Bond 007. They even paid the Broccoli family millions of dollars in order to go ahead and acquire even the creative side of James Bond and now have sort of full control. Ever since then, they have attached the director, Denis Villeneuve, to be the director for the next James Bond movie. He is currently busy working on Dune 3, which is set to go ahead and wrap up later on this year as well. And then after Dune, he's going to be immediately diving into the world of James Bond. Now, as Dune 3 gets a little bit closer, it might be opening up some avenues for Denis Villeneuve and the rest of Amazon MGM to finally begin auditions for James Bond. And it seems as though we may have our first name already for somebody that has, in fact, auditioned. So they're going through auditions right now, and I believe they also are having the script written. So we're going to talk a little bit about both here today. The auditions taking place along with the writer kind of speaking out in regards to explaining what all he's going through in order to kind of get the script right. So let me bring this one up to you guys. This one is actually coming to us from Variety. When it comes to the casting search, according to Variety, James Bond search Sunset Boulevard star Tom Francis auditions to be the next 007. As far as I know, this is probably maybe the first legit casting news that I've been seeing. I think we had some rumors that began a really long time ago, a couple months back, but it seemed a little bit too far-fetched because of the fact that the script wasn't even being written at the time. But this might be one of the first names dropped here. Thomas Francis, best known for appearing opposite Nicole Scherzinger in Sunset Boulevard, may be ordering his martinis shaken, not stirred. It says the 26-year-old British actor, whose reputation rests primarily on his stage work, has auditioned to play James Bond. A source with knowledge of the 007 search tells Variety he's one of many performers jockeying for the part in a casting process that is ongoing and being overseen by Nina Gold. There were no comments by some of the reps. Other names that have been rumored but not confirmed include Jacob Elordi, along with Aaron Taylor Johnson, Caleb Turner, who recently headlined Eternity opposite Elizabeth Olsen. Caleb Turner. I think I did see Eternity with Elizabeth Olsen. If Caleb Turner is the person that I'm thinking that he is, I'm not really a big fan, to be quite honest with you. Another name floating around is Cosmo Jarvis of Shogun, who enjoyed a breakout role in last year Alex Garland's film Warfare. Cosmo is not in the mix for the role of James Bond and is not auditioning for, is what one of the spokespersons said. So that let's immediately chop that rumor down also. But Tom Francis has auditioned for the role. I have not seen him in Sunset Boulevard, but I bring his name up really just to showcase the idea that auditions seemingly are happening right now. Stuart, are you excited to see who could potentially be the next James Bond?
Definitely. I think I mentioned this before, but I think like when it comes to a character like James Bond, I do kind of hope they go in the direction of slight unknown. Like I'm not saying like, some random person off the street, but I do hope we take some up and coming actor. That way, only because I feel like for a character like James Bond, if you hire someone like, let's say Glenn Powell for a minute, or, Glenn Powell, I'll be spending like, at least the first half of the movie trying to tell myself, no, that's not Glenn Powell. That's James Bond. That's James Bond. So I think it'd just be a lot easier if they hire an unknown, someone who I don't have different like movies associated with that person. So I can just look at it and go, okay, cool. That is our James Bond.
Yeah. If anything, I would agree with you. I'm trying to remember if, what Daniel Craig's, popularity was at the height of Casino Royale. Had he done anything prior to that? Was he kind of a no name also? Or did he have prior work before that? I personally don't recall seeing Daniel Craig before seeing him in Casino Royale. So I would agree that I would kind of appreciate and prefer somebody that I'm not necessarily familiar with or a fresh face, because I just don't want to have that much baggage of remembering what I've seen them in before and then kind of like pushing that onto the 007 character, if that makes sense. Like I can see Jacob Elordi though. I haven't really watched him in Euphoria before, but I know he is in the Euphoria television series. I do remember seeing him in Frankenstein, which I thought he was great. But I think Jacob Elordi definitely has the potential to pull something like that off. I definitely would love to see what he's capable of doing in that regards. But I'm sure we will continue to get more and more names revealed for you guys. Yeah, Tom Francis, one of the first names when it comes to auditioning. But we also have the writer hard at work, and the writer's name should be familiar to you because Disney brought Stephen Knight in to do one of the many rewrites for that Ray movie that never came to fruition. I believe he also did the Peaky Blinders show, if I'm not mistaken. Also, yeah, Peaky Blinders creator Stephen Knight, according to this article, says he's doing research for the script for the next James Bond movie with the SAS and even more secret outfits, is what the writer told us. He says, I'm talking to them about what they do every day. It's all real, he said, of the exploits depicted in the Ian Fleming's book on which the on-screen character is based. The author, talking about Ian Fleming, was living that life. In the war, he was doing those things. He knew people doing that stuff, going out there and killing people. Ian Fleming was such a great writer. To be a writer, you have got to know about people. Mm-hmm. Knight said he believed he had a license to reinvent James Bond, the first one to be made by Amazon MGM. He says Bond has been bulletproof. People have been able to make mistakes and variations, quite elaborate variations, and the character has survived because the core of it is like a diamond. You can't touch it. The person you're talking about is folklore. Watching the Bond films was a big part of his childhood. Sean Connery was his favorite. It was always Connery. You'd be watching as a kid with your dad. the certainty, the confidence, and the escape from something, everybody buys into that. That's the thing with Bond. Everybody wants it. Knight has been just completed a documentary about Oasis that will be releasing by Disney in autumn. But yeah, so he gives his insight in regards to what he's currently doing right now. So I like the idea, Stuart, here that he's saying like I'm talking to them about what they do every day, and I think that is one thing that people tend to forget is that the author Ian Fleming. That was his life. That he was in war. He knew these people. So to be able to write from that perspective and kind of put it into the James Bond character just made a lot of sense. And by understanding that particular world so well, definitely made him a much better writer. So now you've got somebody like Stephen Knight that, while he's certainly not Ian Fleming, and I don't think he's ever been in any wars whatsoever, the fact that he's tapping into what Ian Fleming did to make James Bond so successful in regards to recognizing the people that actually do these things for a living and have to live this espionage sort of type life and go out there and kill people every day. The fact that he's getting access to that type of stuff to kind of see how the moving pieces work. I think it'll be interesting to kind of see like if there's a sense of quote unquote realism that Stephen Knight sort of brings to James Bond a little bit more, really giving us the insight in regards to how these agencies work and who's filling out the missions and who's giving the orders and the hierarchy behind it all sort of thing. And look, Stephen Knight is definitely no slouch. I mean, the creator of Peaky Blinders that has had successful years on Netflix, even got a movie made for the big screen as well. I definitely think he's certainly the man for the job and somebody that clearly knows his James Bond relatively well here. So I'm glad he gave us some insight in regards to how he's managing all this, Stuart.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I think it's really cool for him to go above and beyond out of his way to talk to people like actually in a similar field and trying to, delve into their psychology and kind of like, oh, hey, how can I apply that to our next James Bond character? So yeah, I absolutely love that.
Yeah, I also like the idea in here too, that he mentions how bulletproof James Bond is. And he's right, because we have had some really awful iterations of James Bond over the years for sure. But he still manages to prevail in the sense of like being such a dominant character that you don't really ever lose interest. It's just kind of like, all right, what's the next story up? Like, who's the next man up? Who's the next writer up that can tell sort of like a better story than this sort of thing? And they just continuing to reinvent themselves. And so I am eager. Like, even growing up as a kid, I would say like Pierce Brosnan was always my James Bond growing up from, GoldenEye. I think that might have been like my first James Bond movie I remember seeing in theaters. But that whole like Pierce Brosnan era was significantly different from the Daniel Craig era, right? Daniel Craig then comes in, new writers on board, and they just reinvent the character again. And so I'm really eager to kind of see how James Bond gets reinvented once again from the help of Stephen Knight along with Denis Villeneuve. I'm really excited to look forward to it.
Yeah.
We got Indy in the house. What's up, Indy? Best pod ever created. I actually recorded content for this week. I'm excited. Hey, man, we're excited to see what you got for us, Indy, for sure. Love y'all, man. We love you too, Indy. Hope everything is going well. I don't know if you're still watching the show over there. I want to talk to you about Anime Assembled. I want to know what you and John are up to these days, and if there's time in your guys' life schedule, because I would really love a weekly or bi-weekly Anime Assembled show back on Hero Report, man. I'm just saying. Let me know what you think, Indy.
Definitely. I've been watching My wife and I have been checking out the show with Chad Tillier, and it's a new anime, and yeah, it's really good. Like at first, you kind of, because it's a very adorable, cutesy kind of anime that seems like it's directed for a younger audience, but as it keeps going, like it gets it gets pretty deep, and there's also like just this layer of like there seems to be something else going on that we as the audience aren't aware of. Plus, I think it has one of my new favorite magic systems. It's kind of similar to Full Metal Alchemist in the sense that like magic is created through like drawing symbols. Difference being in Full Metal Alchemist where it was like equal exchange. You have to like have something to exchange for what you want to construct. In this version, it's as simple as just making sure you get the shape exactly right, which is why the wizards in this world, their real goal is to make sure that humans never find out about that, because if everyone suddenly learns, oh, anyone can do magic just by drawing shapes, that would be a complete disaster. Oh, I think you're muted.
Oh yeah, it absolutely would be a disaster. Marcelino does say, if what Stewart said was true, Michael Dante, Di Martino, and Brian Konitsku could still do an evil Uncle Iroh, but make the Avatar What If animated series. There's nothing stopping them.
Yeah, as long as Paramount lets them do that. Hard to say now because like all the changes going on at Paramount, they may not let them have the creative control that they would have before the Paramount Warner Brothers merger. Because I know that was like a whole thing. They had the whole Avatar studios up because they wanted them to produce like a bunch of spin-offs and all that. So yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see if that's still a thing.
Yeah, I hope so. All right, let's change course over to another movie, a hot one right now, currently out in box office theaters. If you haven't had the opportunity to see it yet, it is still out there. It is in fact Michael, the Michael Jackson biopic. I'm gonna look up real quick. Michael box office mojo. How much money has the Michael Jackson biopic made as of this year? Give me a second to pull this up for you guys. As of right now, worldwide, this movie has made $738 million. This is on a budget of $155 million. The movie itself has already made $738 million, possibly on its way to $1 billion. I know that they just went back out into IMAX screenings, if I'm not mistaken. They might still be in IMAX. I actually want to see this movie again, Stuart. I've only seen it once. My algorithm on Twitter is all Michael Jackson all the time right now. It's like a Michael Jackson channel on my Twitter page. I'm seeing behind the scenes interviews. I'm seeing behind the scenes clips, music videos, the defense attorneys. I mean, people are like, everybody is talking about this guy. My Spotify has been Michael Jackson all week long. I literally picked up the phone to talk to my mom yesterday, and the first thing she said was, Adam, did you see the Michael Jackson movie? I'm like, yes, Mom, I've seen it. She's like, oh my God, I had so much fun. I was like, yeah, I think I want to see it again. So I may try and catch Michael one more time before it leaves theaters, but this movie is doing bank right now at the box office. Features his early life all the way up until his first Bad tour. And it's doing so well, Stuart, that you know what? We might just get ourselves the sequel after all. Let's go ahead and dive into this. This article comes to us from, I believe this is Variety also. Michael's sequel, according to the Lionsgate film chief, promises a big and satisfying movie with most popular music still to come. Yeah, I mean, that's, his discography is literally out of this world, man. But let's go ahead and dive into this article. Michael, the smash hit biopic, makes it clear that moviegoers haven't seen the last of Michael Jackson, with the film ending with the words, his story continues. And Lionsgate, the studio behind the film, told investors and analysts on a quarterly earnings call on Thursday that it is hard at work on a sequel. We're really excited about the progress we're making with respect to a second Michael movie. All the conversations that we've been having with all of the appropriate parties continue to go exceptionally well. It says the first Michael wraps up with the King of Pop in the middle of his 1987's Bad Tour that leaves several decades of material from successes such as Dangerous to controversies like the multiple allegations that dogged Jackson for the rest of his life. He says, I would say that there's a ton of incredibly entertaining Michael Jackson story and much of the biggest and most popular parts of his music catalog that were not touched upon in the first film. There are so many other events that happened, even in the time frame of the original movie, that weren't touched upon. So we're very, very confident that we've got an incredibly entertaining movie that will appeal once again to a global audiences as the pieces come together. He also noted that things might not be chronological. We can go forwards and backwards in telling this story. Is what the chief said. Michael may be a massive box office hit, but its production was chaotic. Yeah, we definitely closely talked about this, about the plans having to be scrapped along with any mention of the accusations. And after attorneys for the Jackson estate, which served as a producer, realized that there was a clause in the settlement with one of the singer's accusers, Jordan Chandler, that barred the depiction or mention of him in any movie. However, Ferguson said that some of the material that was cut could be used in the sequel, which would potentially lower costs of the film, that makes a lot of sense. We think we got 25 to 30% of a movie already shot from the prior production activity. And so obviously that will have some financial benefit ultimately, but we're going to make sure that we make a big and satisfying movie for a global audience once again. Yeah, if you guys recall, when we really had talked about this, I think one of the stories we had talked about was the idea that they had nearly like 80 like 4 hours of footage, I think, or something like that, filmed for this Michael movie that they ultimately had to really edit out a lot of stuff and really rework in regards to a beginning, middle, and final act of the film. And I think what they managed to do with the footage that they had was relatively brilliant. It was a really just fun, enjoyable movie. It definitely felt a lot of like cliff notes in regards to Michael Jackson's life. Like even the head of Lionsgate acknowledges the idea that, look, there's a lot of things from his early aspect of his life that we certainly missed out on. But I think that they knew already how successful this movie was certainly going to be, and already had in mind the idea, like, if we wanted to make a sequel, where would we certainly go from here? And so the fact that they already have so much stuff already filmed and in the can, now they can just kind of build off of that for a sequel and really dive into other aspects of Michael's life. I am going to be fascinated to kind of see how they handle everything, because there is sort of a layer that I think, a lens that's put over Michael in this first film that really shows the, no pun intended, but the human nature of who Michael Jackson certainly was as a person, his upbringing, why he appreciates the things that he does, why he always has sort of like this childlike persona about him. And I think they did a really good job of portraying Michael in a sort of way. And it'll be, very people pleasing, if you will. And so I am kind of curious as to, is there a tonal shift when we get to something like a Michael sequel, or how will they what's the word that I'm looking for? How will they depict Michael? How will they use some of the stuff that they know from his court cases? If they will, how will they paint him in a certain particular light, if that makes sense, when you do get to sort of his later years, right? Will the Michael 2 end up being more like a defensive case for Michael in regards to anything else, more than anything else, in regards to also exploring his music. You know, one of the things that I've talked about when I've talked about this movie before is like, while the first Michael certainly might be like a celebration of his life and the fun aspect, I do wonder if like Michael 2 then becomes more like of a legal drama, you know, you know, and you got court cases and you got witnesses and stuff, right? Like I would just be really fascinated with that aspect of his life. Now, I know people complain about this Michael movie and, oh, they didn't focus on any allegations. This movie was not about allegations. This movie was literally about his moment from growing up until the middle of the Bad album. Like if you want to be upset about the idea that they didn't like just throw those things in this movie just to appease other people, I don't know what to tell you. But like none of that stuff winds up taking place during this aspect of his time, and that's the aspect of his life that I definitely continue to love to celebrate and really love kind of seeing brought to the forefront. And I think Michael Jackson's music continues to become ever popular in 2026. It's like at the top of the charts once again when it comes to Spotify. I mean, there is definitely a Michael Jackson crave currently going on, so much so that we literally have Netflix with like a documentary hit piece coming out just in time, because you can't have too much positivity about Michael Jackson for too long without trying to remind people about some of the past allegations and stuff. And so great opportunity for Netflix to drop some level of hit piece on Michael. But I'm excited to see what they're going to do with the second film. The complaint that I had about the first movie, Stuart, was that the Michael movie was not long enough, that it literally could have been 3 hours long and I would have eaten it all up. And I just asked that please make this next Michael movie 3 hours, because I will eat that movie up as well. And I think people certainly will also. But I'm excited to see that that they're definitely pushing forward with it, utilizing some of the things that they've already filmed, and then building off of that. So I'm eager for it.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Because yeah, I was definitely one of the people that kind of wish they went more real with the Michael movie in terms of that. Because yeah, again, like I think that you could have had both like Michael Jackson being both a victim and then also like still like kind of show like what being a victim turned him into, possibly, if, again, depending on the side that the movie itself wants to take when it comes to those allegations and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would be very curious to see if that's what they touch upon in the sequel, and if they're not afraid to get to be a little less crowd pleasy with the sequel, if that makes sense. Because yeah, I still think that that Michael Jackson movie, I think it was so well shot, incredibly well acted. But yeah, I do think that like it would be kind of cool to watch the sequel go into a darker direction, seeing if they're seeing how honest they're willing to be about kind of Michael Jackson's past, and whether or not they will take their own stance on the allegations against him, or if it would be one of those movies where these are the facts that are presented to us the way that we ourselves know them, and whether or not you want to consider Michael Jackson guilty or not is kind of up to the audience. I could see them going in that direction. But yeah, I think it's cool too that they're with all the footage they weren't able to use for the first movie, rather than just letting all that go to waste, they're looking to use that for the sequel as well. I think that's an incredibly smart way to be resourceful, use the success of the first movie to help fund the second movie, and then even show, hey, look, we even got a good chunk of like what they say, like 12% or something like that. We got like 12% of it already filmed. So yeah, I would be very curious to see if this were to happen. I think that there's definitely a lot of potential.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential in regards to where they can certainly go from here when it comes to an upcoming sequel. So I'm excited for it, man. I'm glad to see this movie is doing really well. I literally I was giving my little son a bath last night, and I was listening to the Ultimate Jackson 5 collection, playing some music in the background while I was giving him a bath, and he seemed to be vibing with it a little bit. My son loves music right now. He'll take like his little broom and his little broom sweeper, and he'll use it as like a microphone stand and like his little guitar and stuff, and he'll like just kind of pretend to sing along with some of the songs and whatnot. So I'm really trying to show him Michael Jackson at a young age, in the sense of like, look, this kid was super talented at like 7-8 years old. Like if you want to get into music someday yourself, like you're more than capable of it. Like I would be interested to see like I'm always interested to see like what my son's gonna gravitate towards, like musically. Like my girlfriend definitely has her influences and tastes in music and stuff. That her and I kind of share a lot of similar taste in music, so that works. But when it comes to like R&B, Michael Jackson type of pop music, or like even rap music, that's kind of like my field sort of thing. So I am kind of always curious to see like what his ear at this age kind of gravitates towards. And he seems like he's becoming a little screamo kid. I'm not gonna lie. He's got some mute moments where he's just screaming some of the songs. I'm like, bro, you got some lungs on you, man. Like, okay, like that works. Like System of a Down might come on. He might scream something out. Like, bro, what is happening to my son?
Your son is already learning to question the system. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Gotta break down the man in some way.
Yeah. I definitely, like, if I were to ever become a parent, like, and I please note what I say, I understand it's 100% more easier said than done, but I would like to think that I'd be the kind of parent that would want to encourage my kid to ask questions, but also teach them that there is a big difference between asking questions and jumping to conclusions. Cough, cough, Alex Jones, cough, cough, so make sure you're asking questions, but that you're not drawing your own conclusions until you actually like look into it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Marcelina says, would you guys be open to another studio wanting to make a Michael Jackson movie, but focusing on his time becoming a child sex offender? Thinking of it as Jeffrey Dahmer villain origin kind of story. To be fair, and I am a biased Michael Jackson fan. I'm just gonna put that out there. To be fair, he's not a child sex offender. Like he has been acquitted on all charges from his 2011 or 2005 court case, if I'm not mistaken. He's never had to register himself as a child sex offender. So like you'll never find Michael Jackson listed anywhere as such. So I think making a movie like that is more, it probably might give the Jackson estate a defamation case, if I could be honest with you in that regards. I know he settled some things out of court in the first trial, if I'm not mistaken, financially. Second court case, I think he had 10 or 14 charges against him. He was found not guilty for all of them. So from a legal perspective, Michael Jackson is an innocent man. So if somebody were to go out there and make a movie about him becoming a child sex offender, I'm pretty sure that's a defamation case on their hands. Like you could feel any type of way about the allegations or whatever the case may be. I respect anybody for having their own opinion. I'm just talking from a legal perspective. He was found not guilty on those things, and you can believe what you certainly want to, but I'm just putting that out there. So no, I mean, there's enough hit pieces on him already. Leaving Neverland is out there. The Netflix biopic that is about docuseries, I think that's about to drop, is another one that's currently out there. It's interesting that this gets brought up now, though, just because I feel like my timeline has been like I've even seen like I would recommend people check this out. There's a 60 minutes Australia interview with his defense attorney from his, I think it was a 2005 court case, I believe that it was, that talks about Michael Jackson's innocence and just like their perspective. There's a part of me that wants to also see if I can find if the court cases were ever televised, because I would like to watch the court cases for myself or like read the transcripts for myself, because I do think it is really important to understand the power of media and navigating headlines and forming storylines that you kind of want to push into the narrative of pop culture for a lot of people, without really even taking into account any the defensive side of things, right? It's easy to be fed a lot of the prosecution and a lot of the allegations and stuff and immediately have those assumptions about somebody. But I think it's also important to also see the defense and see if they what they were able to argue in order to get Michael Jackson uh, found not guilty on all counts, right? I think that is worth doing some research in regards to as well. Um, but yeah, that's all I wanted to say in that regards.
Yeah, I think I think I should like start like checking out or I'll definitely check out the Netflix documentary when it comes out because I am kind of curious to hear all sides of all of it because I've heard so many mixed things from people who are actually like fans of Michael Jackson. So it's one of those things where it's like I want to like actually like look into it like with the evidence that's like actually there. So I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, because I even there are elements that I'm not even familiar with because I grew up during the Michael Jackson period where I mean I would go to the supermarket and just tabloid magazines just everywhere, just Michael Jackson plaster with some sort of rumor or conspiracy or allegation kind of against him, right? It was really hard to escape the notion that this man could be innocent of anything because that's all that was kind of fed to you was the allegations and these people kind of coming forward and stuff. But I never found myself one to actually do research in regards to, well, what exactly is the other side of this story? Like, who are these people that are alleging these allegations? What are their connections to Michael? Like, what would they have to gain from doing any of this stuff? So I do think it is important that we understand both sides, certainly to a story a little bit more. But yeah, I do think a sex offender movie, though, I think would be maybe crossing a line, though, from a legal standpoint.
It would definitely, yeah. I think that if you make the movie with the idea that he's guilty from the beginning, I think that's a bit irresponsible in terms of filmmaking and also illegal. I think that's why. So you have a show like you've seen the People versus OJ, right? The TV series that was by.
I don't think I watched.
Sorry, it was called.
I don't think I watched all of it. No.
Okay, my bad. Sorry, it was called American Crime Story. Sorry, I misremembered the name. But yeah, basically they do the OJ trial, and it's so clear that OJ is guilty, even within the universe of the show. But I think the show does a good job at like stating the facts and never directly saying that he is guilty, and even going out of its way to show why this case was botched in the first place and showing that, yeah, there was definitely a biased perspective, especially when it came to the cops that convicted him. You had one of the cops that was like a straight up Nazi lover. So it's like, when you have things like that going on, it's really not that big of a surprise of what the outcome ended up being in the end. So I think that's if they want to do like a biopic version of this, not a documentary, but a biopic, which had the opinion that Michael Jackson was guilty, that would be the way you would want to go about it. Never actually showing anything that actually happened, but giving us like the facts of what we know happened from the court cases, the evidence that was shown in court cases, showing us that, and then the verdict, and then letting audiences decide. But also making sure you get that perspective from people who, were convicting him. Make sure we know like why they're convicting him, what why it is that the jury didn't believe them, or why maybe the jury should have believed him, that kind of a thing. Make sure you're getting all angles.
No, I agree, and I think if they were to do a Michael Jackson sequel, I think if they want to tackle those court cases, I think the transcripts are probably the best way to go, to get like actual factual things that were said by people, having them represented, both sides represented kind of on the big screen. I think that would be pretty riveting stuff. So we'll see. And maybe this will be the ultimate Michael defense movie. You know what I'm saying? Like to cement for his family and his estate in regards to that. But we'll see. It's an interesting topic for sure. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. Have you seen the first Michael movie? If so, what are your thoughts? We definitely want to know. And then last but not least, Stuart, we'll go ahead and get through this last topic before we get into live viewer questions. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the reboot, is back in the news here today. And it's back in the news for this very reason, Stuart. When this was announced, we were gonna do another Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. There's a part of me that's just like another one. Like, dude, there's just so many variations of this story that continues to get told over and over again, and some of them don't get better. All right.
Oh no.
So it's just like, what else do we need to tell from this story? But it has now come to my attention, Stuart, after watching the movie Obsession, that the director of Obsession is actually the one helming this project. And now my opinion has vastly changed, Stuart. Now I'm like, we need this Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie immediately. Let's go ahead and dive into this, as Variety did get the opportunity to talk with Curry Baker, I believe his name is. The director, Curry Barker, Obsession director Curry Barker, on his theatrical debut from Obsession, cutting a darker ending and taking on Texas Chainsaw Massacre next. I am just going to highlight the Texas Chainsaw Massacre aspect of things. If you haven't had the opportunity to go see it yet, please do yourselves a favor. You won't be disappointed. But it says, what can you say about your upcoming take on Texas Chainsaw Massacre? He says, it's going to be grounded, brutal, and raw. It should be very, very uncomfortable. I just want to nail the tone. I want to make you care about the characters that we're on the journey with. I want to give a deeper story to whoever is on this road trip. Just like Bear, Nikki, and Sarah are characters you've never knew before. I mean, we all know Leatherface and the Sawyers, but what are the characters that I can invent that we can grow to care about? If they do die brutally, we'll actually be sad that they died. It was something that I had voiced to my team that I was really excited about. I knew A24 had just gotten the rights to it, and I was like, as far as IP goes, that's something I would love to tackle. It was a match made in heaven, and all the stars aligning at once for me to get that one. And now he's got his wish, Stuart, straight off of a box office success in Obsession. Curry Barker now moves on to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You hear him talk about it being brutal, raw, uncomfortable. When he says those things, what does that make you think about when it comes to him tackling this movie?
I mean, honestly, everything he described is what I love about the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, except for the characters you care about. The characters were, mostly, I don't want to say like, they were a little more than two-dimensional. Like, they had a little bit of depth to them, but you only knew just enough to like make them actual people, so that way when they died, it didn't feel like you were just watching caricatures die. You watched like actual human beings getting brutally murdered, that kind of a thing. But I was never like invested with any of the characters per se. So that's probably like the one thing, but I think that everything else he describes, like, he wants this to be unsettling, which is very much how you describe like the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He wants it to be uncomfortable. What I always loved about the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the way it was filmed in terms of its low budget. They knew how to make that low budget make you uncomfortable from even before we even get to the house. When we're just like in the van, we can easily see that it's like 1,000,000 degrees outside. There's no AC. And then suddenly they pick up this stranger on the side of the road who's just absolutely insane. And then like, kind of like the build up to when we get to the house, and the house itself looking incredibly creepy, because I believe they filmed in an actual like kind of abandoned home. So therefore it just, the house itself gives this really creepy vibe. And then just the low budget filmmaking in the house almost at times kind of gives you kind of the feeling like you're watching a snuff film in a lot of ways. And that's the kind of vibe that I love about the OG Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And after seeing Obsession, this was something we complimented about Obsession before, which is the fact that this movie had me on the edge of my seat, uncomfortable, like a good chunk of the time. And that's something that this director was able to like do perfectly. So if he's able to bring a similar kind of vibe to that to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, I agree. I like the way that you describe the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. And I would agree. I think if there's anything that I took away from Obsession was like the uncomfortability of a lot of the sequences. I think if there's any man that can make you feel uncomfortable when watching a movie, it's definitely Curry Barker. I think he did a remarkable job in that regards. But yeah, no, I definitely echo a lot of the sentiments that you have here also. You know, when it comes to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think that, you know, I actually really enjoyed didn't they have there was a reboot that they did. Maybe it was the early 2000s version. I'm trying to remember that the actress that was in it. Her name is I'm losing it off the tip of my tongue though as of right now. It'll probably come back to me. But I did like one of the earlier reboot versions that we wind up getting, because I did think that they focused pretty well on some of the main characters outside of like Leatherface and things like that. Like the people that were in fact kind of on the road trip. And I think that's what made it a little bit more impactful for me also when I watched it. So the fact that Curry Barker wants to kind of get into understanding these characters and have us emotionally attach to them a little bit more, I'm always on board for that. I felt that way when I watched that first Mia Goth trilogy of movies that she had. Not Pearl.
Oh, right.
X.
Yeah.
X. I really enjoyed the characters on the road trip in that regards. We spent a lot of time for them before shit winds up really hitting the fan, sort of thing. And if Curry Barker can kind of do something like that with these teenagers on the road trips before all mayhem ensues, then yeah, I'm definitely for it. And I think he showcased what he can do in that realm of character work and making you feel uncomfortable on screen. And if he can do that with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, what he did with Obsession, I think he might have a worthy sort of remake on his hands. And with somebody that just, you know, knocked it out of the ballpark with his movie, he's probably got a whole lineup of people that are ready to kind of work with him and give him some really cool IPs right now to kind of tackle. So from not being excited about this project to now being overhyped for it, I think Curry Barker might be the man for the job. So yeah, now that I know who's actually working on it, I definitely am speaking a different tone for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see here. All right, guys. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in regards to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre reboot. And with that out of the way, Stuart, I think you know what time it is.
I do indeed. And now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions.
All right, guys. And with that.
Oh, you muted yourself.
No, you know what happens? I'm in the middle of talking, and the damn video starts playing while I'm trying to talk on my end, and then it mutes me. Like I get the whole delay. I click the video button, it plays for you guys at home, and then it ends, and then I don't see it play on my side at all. So I'm like, I'm assuming it's over. So let me start talking. I start talking, and the video decides to play randomly on my side. Like it was such a delay with these videos, man. I'm so sorry.
That's really funny.
It's a weird day today, bro. Let me pull up this YouTube channel here. So if you guys ever want to submit a live viewer question, how do you do so? Well, I am glad you asked. Let me I gotta pull up this being a little bit slow right now. All right, here we go. So you're going to want to come over to our YouTube channel, as you see here. And every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, I will post a live viewer question post. You just go over here to posts, and voila, live viewer questions dropped 13 hours ago. Let me tackle these, and then based off of time, we'll see if we can go back to last week's stuff as well. But let's go ahead and knock these out first. Current week's stuff. Kenneth, what's up, Kenneth?
Oh, real quick, I'm gonna let you get the first couple without me. I'm gonna use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back.
No problem. No problem. Is it just me, or does anyone else get incredibly annoyed when TV characters sit in front of a massive feast and barely touch a single bite? In reality, actors rarely eat during these scenes because doing so would create logistic nightmare for continuity across multiple takes. While this might occasionally nibble between setups, most of that beautiful food unfortunately goes completely untouched to keep the scene looking consistent. Yeah, I mean, I do wish that they would eat a little bit more food when they do these things, but I am always fascinated with takes like that when you're watching people eat, whether it be like at a table or like at a diner or a restaurant or whatever the case may be, and they actually are eating while they're performing. It always makes me wonder, like, how many takes did they have to do? How much food have they eaten in this small amount, like in this time of filming? While it's only one scene to us in the final cut, have they had to take like 15 bites of something? Do they swallow it? Do they spit it out? How do they keep themselves from not being full all the time when filming sequences and scenes like that? It doesn't really annoy me so much, but it is sort of like one of those, I don't want to say movie magic things, but I am always fascinated to kind of see like how eating scenes are normally kind of done, because it's just like, man, are we really going to just waste all that food, bro? Unbelievable. But appreciate the question, Kenneth. Tony Robinson, the Power Ranger reboot is set up production in Vancouver. So when do you guys think we'll be getting more news like casting? I would say maybe at San Diego Comic-Con. I know has production officially started as of right now. I'm so used to seeing, like, when productions begin, sometimes whoever's in charge, like, they'll have a social media team that like might take an image or a photo to kick off production starting. I haven't seen anything like that from Power Rangers in Vancouver. I do know, like, on the production weekly lists and stuff, it does show up that they are set up to have production in Vancouver, but I'm not quite sure if it started officially yet. If production has started, please go ahead and let me know. But if production has started, I would assume that a casting would be announced relatively soon. I mean, we've usually have seen, like, especially when it comes to movies, as production has begun and as weeks go by, casting news will slowly kind of trickle out and drop. But I think San Diego Comic-Con is like in July or August. So it would be a cool opportunity for Hasbro and Disney to make some sort of casting announcement by then. So hopefully by then, I would think we get our big news. If Masters of the Universe does well, do you think Amazon will put Voltron in theaters? Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know, man. I don't know. If I am Amazon, though, and Masters of the Universe does well, would I then put it out in theaters? The answer would be yes. But I also wonder if it's a quality thing. Masters of the Universe may be a better quality movie than Voltron. The decision to put Voltron on streaming could be simply due to the quality of it all. Maybe Voltron just is not that good. Maybe they don't think they're going to get the return on their investment. I really have no idea how much Voltron actually cost them to make. I don't know what the budget of the Voltron movie was, but if Masters of the Universe does well, I could see a world where Amazon rethinks their decision on Voltron, but it also makes me wonder if Amazon just doesn't have faith in the project. But if Masters of the Universe can really, like, embrace what it is, which is a goofy 80s cartoon, but also with a more modern premise around it, they might have tackled both movies significantly different. So Voltron may not even feel anything like Masters of the Universe. Maybe they tried to avoid the campiness of the 80s aspect of Voltron. So I don't know, but I think that's a great question to ask, Tony. If Voltron is a competent movie and an enjoyable one, from everybody that I know that has seen Voltron, and that's not many, but people that have had early screenings to it have enjoyed it. I think the comments that they say, if there's any surprise, they're surprised that it's as kid friendly as it is. So take that with a grain of salt in regards to, like, does that mean it's more aimed at kids than adults? So I really don't know what Voltron is at the moment, but if Amazon feels semi confident about it, then maybe they would change it. He also says, I think James Gunn will announce the casting for Wonder Woman and Maxima. Yeah, hopefully soon. I'm hoping soon that we get some sort of reveal. I don't know if that's going to be. He might wait to do that after the Supergirl movie. All the attention is probably focused on Supergirl right now, so I don't expect any big casting news from Man of Tomorrow like that for Maxima or Wonder Woman until after Supergirl, because there is a lot of debate right now. We got two women that are currently training right now, and there's a lot of questions in regards to who are these two women going to be? Who's Wonder Woman? Who's Maxima? We really have no idea, but they're definitely training for some type of part. So hopefully James Gunn will be the one to eventually announce it sometime after Supergirl. Welcome back, Stuart.
Thank you.
Have you heard, Nathaniel's got a question. Have you heard of the newly announced Fast and the Furious spinoff series coming to Peacock, which Vin Diesel is set to executive produce? The franchise, which famously traded its grounded street racing roots for physics-defining stunts, has long been mocked by fans and critics for repeatedly jumping the shark. Given that Tokyo Drift was the last entry to truly focus on the underground car scene, do you think this new streaming service will finally bring the franchise back to its realistic racing roots? What do you think, Stu?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know what? I think so. Yes. I think because this is Peacock, keep in mind, had to cancel Ted after 2 seasons because it was too expensive for them, not because Ted wasn't a successful show. And that's just a show about a talking teddy bear. So I am like pretty sure that if we're going to get like a Fast and Furious show on Peacock, the budget isn't going to be, what we've seen in other streaming platforms. The budget is definitely going to be a lot more limited. So I would say yes, with that limited budget, they're going to take a grounded approach, probably because they have to and not because they think that's the better direction for the franchise. But yeah, so to answer your question, yes, I do think that'll happen.
Sorry, the girlfriend was leaving for go show some homes with kiddo, taking them with her. Just got to say goodbye. I am hearing actually that there are 4 shows currently in the works right now, similar to what like Game of Thrones is doing, with a bunch of like ideas in mind that they kind of want to work on, and they're kind of fleshing them out and seeing what works in regards to what's going to be greenlit or not. So yeah, I do think that there is a world where at least one of these 4 Fast and the Furious projects is about street car racing or like underground car scene, something a little bit more grounded and not so much the espionage side of things. So yeah, at least I would assume at least one of those would be more street racing routes, but we'll see. Jack Villanueva, what do you think about the Wayans brothers returning for Scary Movie 6 to bring back absurd, offensive humor and redeem the franchise after skipping the 5th installment due to creative differences? They've stated that they only produce White Chicks 2 if this upcoming sequel performs well at the box office, as they refuse to release it to merely as nostalgia bait. Given their drive to revive this specific brand of humor, do you believe modern audiences will embrace the classic boundary pushing comedic style today? I think so. Any Scary Movie 6 trailer that I've seen has drawn laughs every time that I've watched on the big screen. I do think the Wayans brothers are creative geniuses in that regards, and I think them being able to come back and do a sixth one, I do think it was actually going to perform pretty well at the box office. So much that I'm actually kind of concerned about how well it will perform because it's releasing the same weekend as Masters of the Universe, and I can easily see Scary Movie 6 kind of. While I know Masters of the Universe are two completely different movies, it's Masters of the Universe is much more family oriented and for everybody. I can still see some people that are Masters of the Universe fans still maybe wanting to see Scary Movie 6 as well. So I can kind of see them drawing a little bit of box office from each other. But I do think Scary Movie 6 will actually do relatively well based off of its budget, at least. So I think the Wayans need a big return, man. And I think Scary Movie 6 will definitely showcase why they were missed and why Hollywood certainly needs them back. So I do think audiences will connect with it.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it's like really funny because you hear a lot of people trying to claim that, oh, comedy's dead or you can't, it's illegal to be funny nowadays. I don't think that's quite the case. I think like what it just comes down to is that over the decades, people, comedy changes, people decide, people always shift what is considered offensive and what isn't. I think the best example of this is The Producers, because back when that movie came out, people actually thought that movie was raunchy and offensive. Nowadays, your grandmother wouldn't even find a movie, the movie Producers, to be like offensive at all. So I think that like what happens though is that certain jokes, I think John, okay, let me use 16 Candles. I think that was the name of it, from John Watts back in the day. You had one character who was a Chinese foreign exchange student, and the entire joke about his character is that he's Chinese, so he talks funny, and that's just not funny anymore. We've evolved over the times and decided that yes, if you are going to make an offensive joke, there needs to be a build up, a purpose behind the offensive joke. You can't just be offensive and then call it a joke because that's just bullying. And I think that with the Wayans brothers, what we've seen in Scary Movie, so take the pronoun joke, for example, the easiest one. That joke was actually funny because it wasn't just someone complaining that someone didn't use the correct pronouns. It was the fact that that person gets stabbed, and while being stabbed, bleeding to death, they correct someone about their pronouns. That's funny, So what I'm saying is that no, I don't think comedy is dead. I don't think everyone suddenly has turned into a snowflake. I think our humor has evolved. We have higher standards as time moves on. One does not laugh at the simple fart joke. There has to be a setup before you give us a fart joke.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. I think you put it perfectly, man. Put it perfectly. Peg C. So Netflix will be releasing a 3-part documentary about the pop star titled Michael Jackson: The Verdict, which will premiere globally on Wednesday, June 3rd, which will explore Center's pop star's highly publicized 2005 trial, since cameras were not allowed in the courtroom at the time. This documentary offers a forensic behind-the-scenes look at the trial through the eyes of key players who were inside the courtroom, including jurors, defense attorneys, and witnesses. It follows the entire legal saga from both the prosecution and defense perspectives, ultimately culminating in all his acquittal of all charges. What are your thoughts? I mean, look, if it is that fairly depicted in regards to having prosecution and defensive perspectives on there, defense attorneys to kind of explain how they came to those decisions along with other witnesses and stuff, then I'm all for it. If it's out there just to be a hit piece, in regards to everything, then yeah, I might have a little bit of a problem with it. But I'll certainly watch it because I am kind of curious to see how it's going to be depicted, and which side is showcased a little bit more, or what narrative is trying to kind of be explored there a little bit. But yeah, no, I am interested in it just because while I remember the trial, I'm glad you mentioned the idea that no cameras were allowed to be in the courtroom, so we really just have the transcripts to kind of go off of. I am hoping that this documentary is based off of those transcripts and really everything that kind of happened. But I would always recommend people to do your own research also. If you could find the transcripts, read the transcripts, see what the prosecution presented, see what the defense presented, and make your ultimate case. um, we lost a legendary figure in tokusatsu world, the name of Kenji Oba, who was a suit actor for Kikiator in the 1972 series and also Aka Ranger in Go Ranger. Oba also appeared in minor on-screen roles, including episode 75 of Go Ranger and episode 3 of Jack. Um, he later gained wider recognition in Battle Fever J, where he played Shiro Akibono. He rose to wider prominence in 1982 when he was cast to lead in the acclaimed Space Sheriff Gavin, portraying Gavin himself and carrying the franchise as a solo hero for the first time. And also, he appeared in a small role in American director Quentin Tarantino's film Kill Bill and Kill Bill 2, playing the character Shiro, the bald guy. Oh, shit, that's him.
That's cool.
Oh, that's so cool. Thank you for letting me know that. I had no idea until just put the pieces together just now. That's crazy. What are your thoughts on this passing? Yeah, man, we lost a legend, dude. So impactful. He's definitely going to be missed for sure. But he's definitely has like the disc. I don't want to say the discography, but like the type of movies and television shows that will last a lifetime, though, dude. So him being the face of franchises and things like that for such a long time, he's definitely going to be missed, man. That's crazy. Unfortunate for sure. Pexy says Mortal Kombat 2 has grossed approximately $111 million globally since its theatrical release. If we get a Mortal Kombat 3, which characters would you like to see? That's a good question. If we get a Mortal Kombat 3, because that is just such an underperforming box office result, bro. Like, that's sad. Somebody asked me, I think it was Tony a couple of weeks back, like to rank what movies I thought were going to do best at the box office. I don't remember my ranking now because it was between Masters of the Universe, Mortal Kombat 2, and Street Fighter. I got to find what my prediction was on that. I just did not expect Mortal Kombat 2 to come in that low, if I'm being honest with you, Stuart.
Yeah. I defended. I said that the first movie did really bad at the box office because of COVID specifically. Now I'm not 100% sure if that's the case.
Yeah, any characters that you would like to see?
I mean, again, I'm kind of a basic Mortal Kombat fan, so they pretty much got all the characters that I wanted to see. If anything, I wouldn't mind if they still wanted to try their multiverse idea that was thrown around after the first movie. I wouldn't mind seeing Robert Pattinson's Batman, maybe John Cena's Peacemaker, Pennywise, whatever other properties Warner Brothers has their hands on. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing something like that.
Yeah, I don't really know who else I would like to see. I mean, most of the characters that I've been introduced to already are like, my main ones. Maybe Reptile would be pretty cool to kind of see. I didn't see him in, I don't believe I remember seeing him in any of these first two films. So maybe Reptile would be neat. And like an actual, I don't think he was in number 1, was he?
Reptile, no.
No, right? So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Reptile in here a little bit more. I would like to see, was it Shang Tsung? In more of a fighting mode instead of like give me your soul only. I do want to see him like actually fight tournament wise. But other than that, I think I got mostly everybody that I would like to see. Just more Scorpion, more Sub-Zero would be great. Yeah, I don't know who else I would like to see though. The identity revealed, the motivation of Danny Delgado. Shout out to AJ the Morphing Grid here. In Power Rangers Wild Force episode 3's Crowd, a wealthy rival named Colin uses Danny Delgado's secret identity as the Black Bison Ranger to manipulate the shy florist into staying away from their mutual crush, Kendall. Despite this interference, Kendall ultimately witnesses Danny's heroism firsthand and promises to wait for him until his world-saving mission is complete, marking a groundbreaking moment in the franchise where a Ranger's romance is left intentionally open-ended. This poignant conclusion beautifully plays off an early moment in Never Give Up, where Kendo secretly discovers Danny's true feelings after finding a love note he had nervously written hidden among the shop's flowers. Given how close they became by the end of the series, do you think Danny and Kendall eventually got together after Wild Forest Rangers defeated the Orcs? Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
think
most of the time in Power Rangers, if there's ever a love story that gets hinted at, but we don't get to see a full payoff, I always have the headcanon that it paid off screen.
Yeah, me too. Danny was way too big to be fucking shy, though. Bro, you're too huge, my man. Like, just go get the woman that you want, man. Like, you're too big to be walking around being all shy and shit. Like, just go after her. Never give up, Danny. That's the lesson of the day.
Did I ever tell you about the funniest thing that he said about auditioning for Power Rangers? So basically, this is the same panel where you had a bunch of like newer Power Rangers. He was the oldest one there, and someone asked, "What was the auditioning progress like?" You had Brendan Mejia being like, "Oh yeah, I had to show off my gymnastic skills, my acting skills." You had another one being like, "Oh, I had to prove that I knew martial arts." And then it gets to Jack, and he's like, "I just had to take my shirt off."
That's so perfect. That's funny. I just had to take my shirt off. My friends call me Joseph. A lot of people have been making fun of the new trailer for the second season of Avatar: The Last Airbender for how Aang has had a completely had a growth spurt. Yet the trailer still refers to him as a little boy. The second season and third were filmed back to back because of 2003 Hollywood strikes severely delayed production. In contrast, the original animated series allowed the character to hit puberty naturally over its run rather than overnight. Do you think the Hollywood strike if it did not happen, then the series could have managed to keep Aang as a young boy? Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I think they would have preferred that.
I undoubtedly that's what they would have preferred. I am curious though, because here's the thing: if I'm directing this show, I would acknowledge, the time. I would acknowledge the characters aging, so I would do a time jump. So I'm curious if the show will do an acknowledged time jump of some sort.
Interesting. Yeah, that might have been a good idea. Marky Parco, two-part question. According to a source, Deadline, the free streaming service Tubi has acquired the North American streaming rights to Yokoso Scooby-Doo, marking the franchise's first ever original anime series. The upcoming show features the return of veteran voice actors Matthew Lillard and Frank Welker as Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. The plot follows the iconic duo traveling to Japan in a culinary adventure where they accidentally unleash a wave of mythical monsters across the country. Are you planning to watch this new anime adaptation when it premieres, and what do you think of this announcement? I didn't know the premise of it until now, but hells to the yeah. That sounds awesome. And you're getting Matthew Lillard and Frank Welker back, dude. That sounds awesome. I'm gonna watch the shit out of this, dude. I love this announcement.
That sounds like the perfect concept for why you would have Scooby-Doo going to Japan.
Yeah.
Obviously a culinary, what do they call it?
A culinary adventure. Culinary adventure. I mean, because Shaggy's about to be baked the whole trip anyway. So my man's gonna have the munchies the entire trip. So the idea of doing an anime, it's like, oh, they're gonna do an anime, but it's set in Japan. Like, dude, it just makes so much more sense to me now. Like, yeah, I'm gonna give this a shot for sure.
If it's an anime though, and it's about Scooby-Doo and Shaggy going on a culinary adventure, trying new foods, I hope it's one of those animes where the food is so well animated, because that's just become like such a common trend now I've seen in modern anime, is like whenever there's food on screen, it is like the coolest looking thing, how much effort they put into it. So I want to see some like realistic looking ramen and sushi, that kind of stuff.
I love it. Oh yeah, I'm down for it. Did you guys know that the 2002 live-action Scooby-Doo film by James Gunn originally planned on having the characters first be shown in animation before transitioning to their live-action versions, played by actual on-screen actors like Lillard? I hadn't heard that before, but you have?
Yeah, they had a whole opening sequence that would have been animated in the cartoon style of Scooby-Doo. In fact, I think you can still find it online somewhere, but they cut that whole thing, and so they just go straight to the actual title. But yeah, there was like a really kind of cool looking animated, and I think if I'm not mistaken, the animated opening credits were supposed to show everything that happened up into the prologue scene. So like, you know, the ghosts that they were investigating essentially. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Nice. That's cool. I didn't know that. I learned something new today.
Yeah. Scooby-Doo was like a completely different movie before it got re-edited because like it was scripted to be rated R and then it was filmed to be rated PG-13, but like a raunchy PG-13, and then it was edited to be for kids.
Oh God. Yeah, that's quite a journey. Marcelino with a couple questions here. There's a reason why the Spider Noir show can't use the name Peter, and the reason involves a lot of legal issues. Back in 2014, Sony got hacked and their contract for Spider-Man got leaked. The contract states certain mandatories that are required for both Peter and Spider-Man in any alternate version. These include must be male, cannot kill in self-defense, cannot torture, no drugs, no alcohol, no swearing above the PG-13 rating, and other things. That's probably why this his name to Ben Riley in the show and why he's referred to as Spider Noir, not Spider-Man, so that they can get around the contract and do some the things the contract says not to. I thought we read an article in regards to why they utilized Ben Riley's name instead of Peter Parker. I can't remember, but they might have said something in regards to like legal reasons also.
Yeah, I had heard that before, so I'm pretty sure that's the accurate reason.
Yeah, you might be right there, Marcelino. There's something I noticed about Hulu. Aside from the exceptions, Hulu doesn't seem interested in creating big franchises or even don't seem interested in creating anything in the realm of fantasy or sci-fi. Hulu doesn't seem to focus on trying to be Netflix, HBO Max, or Disney Plus, which is ironic considering they're owned by Disney. Hulu seems more focused on drama, comedy, thriller, psychological, and overall grounded, self-contained stories. A part of me think that's maybe that's one of the reasons why they rejected the Buffy pilot because it would go against what they stand for. Now I'm aware that they make Predator Killer of Killers, and that this question could age poorly in the near future, and Hulu could decide to commit to franchise IPs. What are your thoughts? Yeah, big heavy IPs. I'm trying to think of. I see a lot of Hulu original series, but they tend to be more original content, like Paradise. I think that's more of an original series through Hulu. More like because they're owned by Disney, maybe it's Disney that wants to focus more on the big franchise IPs, and Hulu really separate itself from just being a big franchise type of streaming service. Maybe they rely on Disney to kind of handle that, but Disney kind of uses Hulu for more original content. To be fair, I think Hulu also did Shogun, which is a remake of a original series. I don't know if I would call Shogun necessarily like a big franchise IP or anything, but I do think that they take more original swings that Disney doesn't necessarily want to take. Since they are owned by the same company, like any original franchise or projects that maybe aren't dependent on a big IP, they probably do get placed on Hulu a little bit more. American Horror Story, though, I think is then again, I think that's more of a
that's more
FX Hulu thing, right? So
yeah,
I guess they are more like a original stories type of streaming service provider.
Because even Shogun, if I'm not mistaken, that's not really Hulu specifically. That's also like FX.
Right, but I always put them under the same like category almost. Like when I think of FX, I think immediately of Hulu for some reason. Because I think most of FX's stuff usually tends to go to Hulu, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're under the same umbrella. I have no idea. I don't know how it works, man. Let's see here. What else we got? I'm gonna get a little personal with this next topic, but it's to help get my point across. You remember the Gods of Egypt film that everyone hated because they cast white actors in the role meant for color of people? Well, what about actors who do have Egyptian descent, but appear more white. Like I have a neighbor named Johnny who's very white, but he is Egyptian and has Egyptian heritage. If Johnny auditioned to be in Gods of War and wanted to represent community, shouldn't he be given the opportunity to? Oh yeah, I mean, I think so. Why not? The late Cameron Boyce had dark skin, black father, and white mother. Yet he came out white skinned, but he's basically a black man. If Boyce wants to audition to play Static or Miles Morales, shouldn't he be given the opportunity to? I mean, yeah, I think so. Or how about me? I'm white, but my grandma's grandparents were originally from Mexico, and they were brown skinned. Have several generations, I come out. After several generations, I come out more white. But if I wanted to audition to play Jaime Reyes or any Mexican superhero because I want to represent my community overall, shouldn't I be given that opportunity? Yeah, sure. We live in a time where token sellouts are extremely vocal and take advantage of their own communities. I would like there to be a movie where someone is a part of a minority group and want to help their community, but the community rejects them despite their best efforts because they are too white and feel like it's not authentic enough because they want an extremely dark skinned person to represent their group while the community is being brainwashed by a very dark skinned token sellout who has traits similar to Candace Owens, who's taking advantage of them for their own agenda. And then the main character is able to win over their community, embrace the token sellout, and the community apologizes, disregarding the member of their community just because their appearances weren't up to a certain standard. And the film ends with the positive that all sides of the community need to come together and need to stop ostracizing each other regardless of the differences of experiences. I mean, I think this is a classic definition of like colorism in that regards. That fair-skinned individuals over darker-skinned individuals, sometimes get more preference than others. But it could be the same way around also. But I mean, I answered yes to all your questions. I mean, I think all those people should get the opportunity. Whether or not they fit the role or are perfect for the part is another question, right? Should Cameron Boyce actually play Static Shock or Miles Morales? I'll leave that up to the auditions if he was, the best person. But it would be different. Like if Cameron Boyce did give like the best audition, but didn't necessarily get picked the part because of his skin, then we might have, another question on our hands here. But shouldn't he be given the opportunity to audition for these roles? Absolutely. And I don't even necessarily know. I don't know what auditions are like. They probably will have an idea of what it is that they're specifically looking for. I don't necessarily know if that stops you from auditioning, but you just may not necessarily be what they're looking for ultimately at the end of the day, if that makes sense, right, Stuart? Like I don't know how auditions necessarily work in that regards, though. But that'd be a cool premise for a movie, Marceline.
Yeah, I think the big thing is like when it comes to it's hard to say. Like I think it's a one thing if we're doing fictional characters, but it's a whole nother thing if we're doing like historical characters, because I hear that argument used a lot of times when it comes to people with like lighter skin playing a character who had traditionally darker skin, like historically. And so that's where I can kind of see the argument of why you would want someone with darker skin than if we're going to be like more historically accurate, that kind of a thing. But I do think that like there is definitely and I know I am probably not the right person to be talking about this, but I do know that I hear from people that like there is a very big bias when it comes to certain big superhero roles. Like it tends to, when it comes to black superhero roles, it tends to go to actors with lighter skin than those with darker skin. And so yeah, I do think that like that's something that if that's like an actual issue, that's something that should be called out more and that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Let's see here. Alex, at a fan convention, actor Jerry Trainer humorously leaned into a dark fan theory by sarcastically claiming his character Spencer Shea was actually Drake and Josh's crazy Steve, who murdered Megan Parker's family before kidnapping and brainwashing her into becoming Carly. This bizarre crossover theory gained unexpected traction when a muzzled look-alike character wearing Steve's exact outfit appeared in Nora Dershlitz's basement during an episode on the spin-off series Sam and Cat, complete with a voiceover of Trainer's iconic line, "Cock-a-doodle-doo, the cow goes moo." Given these eerie parallels in the actor's own jokes, do you think the show's creators were secretly confirming this unhinged theory, or they just played a massive prank on the fan base? I'm not too familiar with any of these characters, people, honestly.
I know like the first half of it. I don't know the Sam and Cat portion of this, but I do know. Yeah. So for context, Drake and Josh, they had the sister named Megan, played by Miranda Cosgrove, and then and then also in the show at the movie theater, you have one of the funniest characters ever named Crazy Steve, and his character is literally just he's unhinged. So then you have iCarly, which is another Nickelodeon show by the same producers, and they make references to Drake and Josh. So despite the fact that it's the same actors, though, they're not meant to be the same characters, although it is kind of in the same universe as Drake and Josh, but also kind of not. It's weird. There's this whole Quentin. I binged the entire Quentin series when he was talking about this stuff, so that's where most of my knowledge comes from. But anyways, yeah, the theory is because Carly, who is Megan and Drake and Josh, her older brother is played by the guy that played Crazy Steve in Drake and Josh. The theory is that Crazy Steve killed Megan's family and then brainwashed her into thinking that she was his younger sister as they moved to Seattle, and then he came up with the identity of Spencer. It's such a weird out there theory, but like at the same time, I like the fact that the actor is aware of it and that he plays along with it. I find that hilarious. Do I think it's real? Definitely not. But do I think it's funny? And do I think I think it's awesome that the actor is in on the joke? Yes, I do.
And then last question, Jessica Fryman, would you like to see Superman meet fellow DC heroes in the next season of My Adventures with Superman? And do you think the Superboy that shows up could be Lois and Clark's future son?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's Connor Kent, and the reason is because we're getting a cyborg Superman. So it seems like even though Superman doesn't die yet, it seems like we're still getting the reign of Superman. So I think we're going to be getting Hank Henshaw Superman, and then we're going to be getting Connor Kent's Superboy. I think that's who that's meant to be. Yeah, I don't think it's meant to be their son, Jonathan, John Kent. Yeah, right? Yeah, Jonathan Kent from the future. Sorry, I was like, in my head, I was like, is it Jonathan or Jordan? Then I'm like, no, Jordan was Superman and Lois. Never mind. Yeah, Jonathan Kent is their kid from the comic books. But yeah, so I think I'm going with Connor Kent. That's my theory.
As far as other heroes I would love to see pop up, I mean, I definitely do think we'll probably, well, I'm assuming we'll get ourselves a Jessica Cruz appearance in here to help set up her future Green Lanterns series. I don't know what other heroes they'll probably have in here, but why not? Give me a Martian Manhunter. I don't know if he's popped up in seasons 1 or 2 yet, but I wouldn't mind seeing him maybe get in here. I don't know. I don't think a Batman will happen or anything like that, but I think Martian Manhunter has a connection to Superman lore enough to where he would pop up. Did he show up in season 2 at all?
So far, no. I think though we're gonna get him. We did get. I think that we could get Cyborg as well because we have Star Labs established.
Oh, okay.
And I do like that we also got we currently have Steel as far as like expanded superheroes in DC, in the DC universe. I'm with you in that I don't think we're gonna get Batman anytime soon. I'm in like no hurry for Batman because this is still Superman's early days. But yeah, I would love to see Martian Manhunter. I also wouldn't mind seeing some of the some like kind of sillier superheroes, not necessarily like unknowns, but like some that don't necessarily get as much attention anymore. Like I wouldn't mind if they kind of utilize some of the characters we get in Batman Brave and the Bold. Like we get some Plastic Man here and there, maybe get the Question. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of characters they can use in that.
Yeah, I can see Plastic Man fitting the tone of like my adventures with Superman. I can see him popping up. That'd be cool. Marcelino in the comments says I meant to say I'm trying not to sound like critical
yeah.
drinkers or geeks and gamers. No, you didn't come across like that at all. I think it was a valid question.
Yeah.
So
No, it would have been more like geeks and gamers and critical drinker if they were like, why can't we have a white person audition for T'Challa or T'Challa? You know,
I mean,
Then
you
it would've been
can.
more like-
I'm sure you can, but it don't mean you're gonna get the part though. Auditioning and getting the part are two completely different things, man. But yeah,
yeah. There was actually never mind.
All
I don't want to turn this into a drama channel, so I'll stop there.
All right. But yeah, guys, that will do it for all of our live viewer questions today and all of our main topics. So thank you for everybody that certainly participated with us once again. Yeah, probably not going to do the previous week's questions. If you want to highlight those questions, just copy and paste them for next week onto next week's questions, and we'll definitely get to those again for you guys. But that's going to do it for us here. So a couple of things I would personally like to try and do this week. I have watched The Punisher One Last Kill special presentation. I want to rewatch it again because I had some thoughts on it. So I would like to do a review for that at some point in time. So that might drop sometime this week. Tomorrow night, live at 7 p.m. Central Time, a special edition of The Force Report, as we're going to be giving you guys our review in regards to The Mandalorian and Grogu, and talk about that with you guys tomorrow. And then really the rest of the week, talking about some other things. If there's big news or big trailers that drop that we feel we want to talk about before we discuss them on Sunday, we might drop some content that way also. And I really want to try and start tackling The Burrows on Netflix. And if I can watch them all this week, maybe I'll give you guys my thoughts on them sometime this week as well. So no new episode of Let's Talk Movies or our weekly movie show until next week. But I will say, Stuart, one movie that I did watch that I kind of want to talk about next week, Masters of the Universe, the Dolph Lundgren 1987 film.
Yes.
I just rewatched it yesterday and I took some notes. So I would not mind if you wanted to watch it also, us talking about it in preparation for the next movie.
I was going to say, do we want to save that for when the next movie comes out, or do we want to do it like the week before? Give our thoughts on the original the week before.
I want to do it the week before.
The week before? Okay.
So next Monday. So next Monday, Masters of the Universe, the 1987 version will be a movie we talk about. Okay.
Oh, hell yes.
All right. So let's talk about that one. And then whatever other big movies come out this week, we'll check the box office and try and check them out for you guys. So we have some other movies to talk about next week as well. But Stuart, if that's going to do it for today's show, but if people want to find you on social media, man, where can they find you at?
You guys can find me at TurboStew01 over on Instagram, TikTok, and Letterboxd. Yeah, hopefully on my Instagram I'll get those. And I do want to kind of share, not all of them, obviously. I'm not gonna, because that'll be a long show, but I do want to like share some of my wedding photos when they finally arrive.
Yes.
So the day of the wedding, I asked the photographer how long it was going to take, and he said about 7 to 8 weeks. And I'm just like, you're using a digital camera. What do you have to do? But yeah, look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. If you want to follow us on social media, most places at A+ Opinion. I really got to change this whole overlay. Maybe I'll get some overlay designs done for us also. Now that I think about it, because some of our social media handles have in fact changed. Same at TikTok at Hero Report. On Twitter, we are now what are we? A+ Hero Report. We're A+ Hero Report on Twitter, and then A+ Opinions everywhere else on social media. Follow us specifically on our YouTube channel, which is our main page. Like and subscribe to the channel there. And then also follow us specifically over on Facebook. That's where we keep you up to date on a daily basis, dropping brand new news, information, trailers, posters, behind the scenes featurettes. We keep you up to date on a daily basis. And then at the end of the week, we take 6 topics from there and we talk about them here for you guys on the YouTube channel. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. That will do it for us here. In other words, we'll certainly see you guys next time. See you guys tomorrow and then next Sunday. But until then, do us a big favor as always, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.